thank you guys so much for doing this. This is awesome.
Thanks for having us.
I'm honored that you guys gave me your time. This is a blessing to have you guys here. I'm excited to get to know you guys a little bit more. I really barely know you guys, and I'm Cosmic Academy has brought the link together here, and so my first thing is, how did you guys meet?
Well, we met at Coachella.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Which is kind of wild because we're both like from the same city and hang out with the same group of friends but had never met before. So we met like at the Tupac hologram at Coachella. And yeah, it was just weird that we had never met before because we kind of like fly with the same kind of crews back home. So that's how we met. But then we sort of cultivated a lasting friendship after that for a couple of years. And then we didn't start dating until after we went to Lightning in a Bottle music festival together. So 2 years later, we went to LIB, and that's kind of where our love for each other started to blossom. And Josh had been DJing for 20 years, or no, how many years at the time? 20 years now.
20 years now, yeah. At the time, I guess it was 13 years, something like that.
Yeah. And I always wanted to be a DJ, but was busy doing my master's degree and in sports psychology. And he was like, well, what do you mean? You don't have time for it in this life. You have to do this. You have to do this now. You have to become a DJ. I'm going to teach you everything that I know. And he kind of like manifested all this stuff on the spot. Like, oh, there's going to be these butterflies coming out and your name's going to be Neon Gypsy, and started like manifesting all this stuff. And I was like, okay, this sounds
We still
nice.
have to release live butterflies during our sets.
Well,
Maybe straight ones on strings.
maybe like robot butterflies.
Oh, okay, robot. AI flies?
AI flies, yeah. Yeah, and then so after that trip, he started teaching me how to DJ, and that's how he hooked me in, really.
This is the longest answer to where did you meet ever. I love it. You told that. You almost told the whole story.
You guys want to take a second to introduce yourselves to the Free Yourself audience?
Sure. I'm Dani.
Josh. Hi.
And we're average Gypsy DJs and music producers. We're from Vancouver, Canada.
And your last song, White Cobra,
Yeah.
with Coca Cobra,
Cobra.
right?
Yeah.
That it was an awesome freaking track. Immediately put that on my playlist for my personal Spotify and everything. So how did let's talk with Josh now. You started 20 years ago, you said?
Yeah, 20 years ago I started. Back then it was drum and bass I started with, all vinyl. I went to my first rave in 99. My brother took me and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like I was kind of like into hip hop and, industrial kind of rock stuff back in the day, like prog, like Tool stuff, and got into a bit of hip hop at that point in my life.
He was a goth.
Yeah, that was like earlier when I was like 16. I was a lot into Nine Inch Nails and Manson and shit. Still am. But yeah, my brother took my first rave and I was like, heard drum and bass. I'm like, this is amazing. And the whole rave scene and DJing and everything, just all of it. I was like, I just felt like, I don't know, I was born to do it, which was so random because I knew nothing about it. And so I bought a full setup, bought some decks and mixer and started throwing parties and DJing. And yeah, first like 6 years was all vinyl. I did like drum and bass for 3 years and breaks for another 3 or 4, and then started going to like electro house stuff. And then I went into a bit of trap, and then that's when we kind of met. And then I went back into like the housey stuff. So yeah, long time.
That's awesome, man.
February was my 20 years. Yeah, I still have my first record ever. There it is in the back. You see it?
The white one or the other one?
Oh no, the Outcast one. Why didn't we get that white record? We just found that in Cumberland. Oh yeah, because it says average white band. It's just a random $5 record. We found had the word average in it.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to mess with vinyl, but the the only turntable that I have access to is my dad's, and he does not want me scratching any of those records.
No.
None of
I was
that.
never doing any scratching, like a bit. Like my brother's really into it. My brother's really good at scratching, but for me, it's just more mixing. But yeah, it's a lot different than CDJs for sure. No buttons or screens, all ears, and you got to crate that shit around. I'm listening, kind of, but no.
Yeah, you're definitely someone who knows how to mix by ear, and I learned a lot more from I got a Tractor S4. That was my first controller. Well, before that, virtual DJ on the computer. That was technically my first way of mixing. But the S4, I got so comfortable with all the buttons that help you mix in sync and everything. And then Chris, when I linked up with Chris D'Souza to be the remote controllers, and he got the Denons, he taught me how to use the tempo fader to mix and that. And of course, he shows me that, and then the next like 4 shows that we did were like shitty CDJs that had like broken shit. So I had to do that. There was no, it was like throwing me in the fire. So like I'm very proud that I can do that now instead of it being I think on the computer and all that. So
we learned backwards, but I mean I had no option, right? Like when Serato came out, I still used the vinyl, like I still used the records when I used it. But it's just made so much more sense. Like I could have all the tracks I wanted, didn't have to carry on the bag anymore. And then, they stopped pretty much pressing the tracks. So now I couldn't even do it because all the tracks they're not pressed. So I mean, you just don't have the option, right? So you'll be sick, but we'd be playing old school stuff, really.
So did you got to experience the whole like bringing crates and crates and crates of vinyls to each show, right?
Yeah. I think like I had a few shows where I actually brought 3 like yellow milk crates, like those little Dairyland ones. 3 of those, like full of records, and yeah, you're just like. That was before I could afford a record bag.
Yeah, how many records can fit in a record bag?
I think like maybe. I mean, it depends on the bag, but I think the one I had was like 150, maybe. Man, it's been a long time, so I could be way off. But I think 75 to 150. But I think the smaller ones were more like 50. So it just depends if you had like one with wheels or just around your shoulder or whatever. So yeah, it's crazy. It's so old school now. It's interesting to even think about those times. It's like a different life.
You never played with actual CDs, did you?
CDs? No, I went through like a short trying to do that phase, but it was. I don't know, it just didn't really work. Yeah. So even when I went to Serato, I still like you could do the CDs, but we always just still did the vinyl, and then we started learning together. Like I taught her on a controller, so that I still had the computer, but it was controller, so no more vinyl. And then we finally got the CDJs, so we could hear like properly with the gate sticks, right?
Yeah, I was
whatever properly is. I mean,
yeah, right.
You do however you want, really.
Yeah, I learned on Serato. So I think that in the beginning I was like very much relying on like visual cues and visual aids, which was a good way to learn. But now that I play on CDJs, I find it so hard to play on Serato because you don't listen as much. So I much prefer it. I find it much easier, much more natural to do. But yeah, it was like for a long time using Serato. And man, we played some festivals where we're like crating around a huge controller and then trying to like plug in a laptop into CDJs if we didn't have the controller, and just so many problems. Like I remember one time we had a 45-minute delay because we had to like update software. And so many problems that we were finally like, that's it. Like we can't do this anymore. We're making the switch. And yeah, we've never looked back.
With vinyl, you just need a proper needle. I mean, I played parties where the pitch dark room, a little red light in the background, and these 2 little lights on the turntables, and that's it. But it's all by ear, so didn't really need much else. Now it's a big light show.
Yeah.
So how did you guys?
It's way less problems. Like CDJs are the shit.
I mean, it's so good. I got my little fanny pack with like 5 USB sticks that what I mean, all the playlists, all that stuff. But how did you guys? Did you guys like buy CDJs, or how did you make the transition to learn on CDJs?
Yeah, we bought them. I mean, I had them, and then I sold them, and then kind of went back and forth. But we went from, because she was comfortable on the the controller, and then finally we were like, didn't we like have it too at the same time?
We had both for a while.
Slowly, kind of until she was ready. Like, you know, fair enough. Like for me with vinyl, I didn't play out for like 2 years or something. It was like bedroom only because it was brutal. I just taught myself, like, it was brutal. Even when I did start playing out, it was still brutal.
There's no YouTube videos, you know. It wasn't that long. It wasn't that long.
Was there YouTube back then? How old YouTube? 2005 maybe? It was 2000 I started. So no, I just taught myself by ear. You know, a couple of buddies of mine helped and stuff, and like we jammed together, but no YouTube.
It's actually kind of a funny story about our CDJs, because the Long and McQuaid. Where do you live?
I live in New Jersey.
New Jersey, right. So in Vancouver, Canada, Long and McQuaid, or I guess that's Canada-wide. Canada-wide is like where we get all our music equipment. And they have this attic sale every year where they have like all these crazy sales. And we had 2 CDJs and a mixer, but we're like, okay, now we need 4. We need to get the 2 more because there's 2 of us. We go back to back. We mix really quickly. So we're like, we need those 2 more CDJs. And they had an attic sale. It was half price. So Josh and I showed up at Long and McQuaid the day before the sale because they only had 2. So we're like, we need to make sure that we get these. So it was like 6 p.m. the night before. They hadn't even closed yet. And we're standing at the door.
Because I had gone to the one the year before for, what was it, a mixer? I'd gone
before.
You
got the mixer the year before.
But I went I think I went at like 6 a.m. and there was already like 15 people there. So I'm like, oh shit. Like, okay.
We're so like, how do we make sure that we're the first people in line? Because if you go, like, unless you go and ask everyone, it's just such a gamble. Yeah. So we were first, and it was funny because like the manager came out and he was like taking pictures of us and tweeting, and they're like, you guys are crazy. So we did a 15-hour shift. Yeah. And we took turns. We had us and one other guy, and we just like sat through the night with umbrellas. It was pissing rain. And we ended up getting our babibies, our CDJs.
You saved $3,000 though.
We saved
$3,000.
$3,000.
Yeah, hella worth it.
Hell yeah, that's worth it. God damn. It's like buying a freaking car if you want to get all 4 of them in a mixer at the same time. Like a good car, not even a used one. Like,
So for your question to ask about the transition here. So we went. When she was ready for it, we got the 2 CDJs, and then when we're good on that, then we got the 4. But then we still played out on only 2 for a while, and then finally we're like, okay, we're ready for this. So we just want to make sure it sounded nice before we did it out.
It's so nice playing with the 4 because there's no like waiting around. You can just keep mixing and keep selecting. So we're
even considering adding a mixer now because the one thing that is kind of shit is that we have to wait for the cue.
Yeah.
So so now we still are kind of waiting. So it'd be nice just to constantly like we're constantly dropping, but it'd be nice to Ski Tour, they have 2. So it'd be nice to have another mixer, but that would separate us another 3 feet.
No, trust me. Chris, the other half of the remote controllers, is a wide man. He takes up a lot of space up there. He is thick, and so I understand the dynamic with the 2 CDJs and the 1 mixer, and he's not that much taller than me, but he's like twice as wide. Like he's just freaking gigantic. And whenever we he got the Denons, which he got half price because of Black Friday, so they went from $6,000 to $3,000. But each Denon, the SC5000s, acts as 2 decks because there's a and B on it. So when you have 2, it's like you have 4. So
is that how it works?
So it's like you get all 4 for $3,000. So now myself is like, all right, so now I'm gonna get the same setup, and then we're both gonna have a mixer and 2 of the Denons, and then he's like, but I want to be like the laid back Luke setup where he's got 2 on one side and then 1 on one side. I'm like, all right, so we're just gonna get 6 more of these. We're just gonna fucking all the Denons. We're gonna have it crazy lined up, and we're gonna have all this space up there. and then because we've done a whole bunch of like parties and stuff for our friends, and where we each had the controllers set up, and like so much space. You're behind a 6-foot table with at least 3 feet each, and so much space. It's freaking. So
is that why you're called the remote controllers?
So Actually, kind of. So the whole like kind of backstory with that is when we first started out, it was just Ryan, Janni, and what his friends grew up calling him was Churs, because he got a bowling ball. He was on a bowling team in high school. He has bowled like multiple 300 games. Like, it's insane.
Wow. And in high school too.
Kingpin.
Yeah, like
That's like rare, right? High school bowling.
right? But what was even funnier is that like he's like a varsity goalie for soccer, and I played hockey, but then he was also a bowler, and it was just like a funny. So I met him. We met after college, working at a fitness center together. But what was I just talking about? How did I get off?
The name.
Controllers.
The name. Oh, so he got a bowling ball, and they misprinted Chris as Churs, Chirs. So it was all of his friends and his brother, and everyone started calling him Churs. So we first started out, we released one song as Ryan, Janni, and Churs. And then I was like, this is just too much, like words, where there's just too much going on with it. So then we're like, all right, we'll just be RC. Like that's a, quick, short, easy, the RC, like the RC is just what we'll, Ryan and Chris. And then I was like, we released a song as RC. And then I'm like, well, you type in RC into Google and like a million other things come up. Any kind of remote controller, car, or RC Cola, like all these other things. So we're never getting found if people just type in RC. Like never, nothing's coming up. And then I'm looking at all of our stuff, and I'm just like, remote controller. I was like, that's what RC could stand for. It could be the remote controllers. And then I'm like, and we can play off this whole thing of like, everyone thinks DJs just push buttons, right? There's no talent. I was like, we can be the remote controllers, and we can just tell everyone that we literally just push buttons. And this whole freaking like marketing scheme. And so it stuck. And I've gotten some people that are like, I love it because it's so different. And then some people are like, you need to change your name. That's so stupid. And I'm just like, I don't care anymore. At this point, we released a song. We've got 3 more coming out as the remote controllers. I like it. I don't give a fuck what anything.
I like it. That's all that matters. Yes. You got to do you. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Go put it on.
Okay, yeah.
We totally forgot that he wore the wrong shirt. You'll see why.
He's got red and white. But is that the average Gypsy sign? That was?
No, that's the average Gypsy sign.
See, now that he went away, I was like, it was just red and on his chest, and it looked like, because I'm like 20, 35 vision. I'm not blind, but like I could use some glasses. Like when I look at the symbol, I'm like, it's the same. It's totally the same. I can't even tell.
So how long ago did you go through Cosmic?
I did Cosmic, like actually Cosmic Academy, February 2016 or 17. It was while I was recovering from ACL surgery. I was out on disability from work. So like I had all the time to just sit at the computer with my leg like propped up like over here. That is awesome.
Is it backwards to you?
Where the fuck?
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. That's freaking awesome.
I forgot to wear it. I was like, oh shit, I gotta wear the shirt.
Is it backwards to you guys?
Yeah, because we're looking at it.
Yeah, it's backwards to us.
Yeah.
Oh my god, we had quite the lesson with the backwards word thing.
Oh, we're doing like our live streams on Sundays. It's called Friends with Benefits, and it's like this, an interview thing, and then we share an unreleased track of whoever we're interviewing. Mm-hmm. But we had our friend Shane Mack come on, and he's like a really talented freestyle rapper. And he always, like when we're hanging out at parties and stuff, he'll walk around with a sheet of paper and he'll get people to just write random words down, and he'll just be like, and he'll just go through the words and freestyle, and he's like phenomenal at it. So we're like, okay, let's do this during the live stream, but we'll just write words down on cue cards and flash it to you. But then we didn't take into consideration that it was backwards. So poor guy is trying to rap off of backwards cue cards, like over this like live stream that was glitching out. But he still did a really good job.
And all we had to do was flip the camera. Like,
and we're like, we could have reversed the camera.
And then we figured that out after. We're like, oh my God.
We tried to grab a mirror. We were like,
we're holding up a mirror. Oh, wow.
The mirror trick. If you're like, but was it like
it didn't work?
It was like the right way, but now upside down because of the mirror.
Like you killed it though.
Yeah.
Shout out Shane Mack.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome. I actually saw your post with the picture of you guys holding up the words and stuff, trying to do it.
Yeah.
You had a couple of that's what. So seeing that you guys did your own live stream and podcast style type thing, that's like why I wanted to reach out to and get you guys on. So what got you guys started with doing that? Was it just during the quarantine? And
yeah, it was like, we actually, like, in Canada, we're not actually officially locked down, but obviously that's the recommendation, is to stay home, and a lot of people are out of work. And like, as soon as it happened, we just had this idea. We're like, why don't we just do kind of a live stream chatting one? Because I was finding that when I was watching all these other DJs DJing, it was cool, but I was like, we have this opportunity to connect more intimately with people in real time, and it's so interesting to chat with them and to hear them speak and get to know people a little bit better. So and for us too, to be able to connect with people, like, we're socialites, like, we want to be around people all the time. And so, I was like, well, let's do the split screen thing, and we'll chat with them and share some music. And it's been working out really well. Like, the first time we did it, right after, we were like, we're back. We're like, yes, like, we're in it again, just because we haven't played a show in so long. It felt like a show almost. And just to be able to, like, see people's faces was so nice. So I think that's one kind of silver lining. But to answer your question, we just kind of started doing it. We just went for it because of the whole COVID situation.
This Sunday will be our
8th week, this Sunday.
So are you guys having any trouble with copyrighted music and stuff on any of these platforms?
In the beginning, that's where we started the live thing. We started jamming on Instagram, and that happened.
Instajam?
Instajam, yeah. Instagram did kick us off because obviously we play our music and other people's, like, that's what DJs do. Yeah. And then YouTube didn't. But then since then, we, like, actual DJing, we've been doing the Twitch thing, and that's been no problem.
Yeah.
So we haven't had a problem with that. But these Sunday shows, it's all like actually unreleased tracks by the artists that are on the show. So
we haven't had any problems.
Good.
Yeah. It's going to be
not even released yet.
Really interesting, because Twitch, when we live stream on Twitch, we've had no problems. And I think a lot of DJs are kind of finding that as well. But it's going to be really interesting to see how it evolves, because as more and more DJs do it, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more copyright laws, or some of the bigger companies are going to start to crack down on it. But I've heard of people starting to, like, post their set lists and, give credit to artists when they're playing their music. So it would be interesting to see where it goes.
Sure, they'll crack down. Like, say, SoundCloud used to be a lot looser, and then they were hardcore, and then they kind of loosened up now again. Yeah. But I think Twitch was made with, like, I mean,
it's for video games.
It's like video games. Yeah. I'm sure DJs used it, but probably not enough to get in shit.
Have you been live streaming, Ryan?
So this is why this is actually going to be episode 100 and something of the podcast, even though so I did 100 episodes of live streaming sets on Facebook Live, dating back to the last one I did was about a year ago. And then I put up the video from our 3 boat parties this past summer as the 98, 99, and 100th episodes. But I stopped doing it because Facebook and the freaking copyright, like, it was shutting me. I was getting I'm literally on the email list of like 25 labels that are sending me songs before they officially drop to put onto the live stream. And yet I was still getting flagged for copyright and stuff. Like,
weird. I wonder how they even do that. Like unreleased stuff?
Yeah, and they're telling me because, like, when you sign it up to BPM or not BPM.
Oh yeah, like your distributor, you mean?
Yeah, like all that
stuff in the system. Yeah.
So I just got like so sick and tired of it, and Facebook, it would work well enough when I did a set like out at an actual venue and stuff and recorded it and then posted it. It would just mute like some of the songs, which is wild because like we would play like 3 of our songs and the rest was everybody else's stuff. So like it really should have been all muted except our 3 songs, but it would like pick and choose. And like even now, a year later after doing my last live stream, I'm getting messages saying like Warner Music has released their claim on your video. And I'm like, episode 35. All right, that was
cool. Thanks.
Years ago.
Wow.
Like, come on.
Wow, you were ahead of the curve though.
Yeah.
It was something. It was. I started doing it because of like, you know, Armin a State of Trance and like Hardwell on Air and Nice Hair with the chain smokers. I was like, I want to do this shit, except I don't want to just post it on SoundCloud. And so I was like, I can go live, right? And then I found, you know, at first it was just playing free downloads and stuff I get on like Hype Edit or Hyped It. I still don't even know if it's Hype Edit or Hyped It.com.
I think it's Hyped It. I mean, everyone says Hyped It.
Hyped It. That's what I say.
I've never heard Hype Edit. That's interesting.
No, that's just because I've never talked to anybody out loud about it. And I
think it's Hyped It.
Hyped It. And I'm like, wait a second, I finally said it out loud, but now someone else might know what I'm talking about, so now I can ask them if they say it. So
Hyped It used to deny you, but now they just ask you. They just say, do you own this? And you can just be like, yes, yes, yes. And then they just put it up. But they just ask you. But before they would just, sorry, you can't do it. But now it's like the questions. I guess they just put it on you. So it's like your problem. You're going to have to get quite a few plays to get sued by that.
We literally have a track charting on Hyped It right now. That is Sweet Dreams cover.
There's a cover though. But yeah.
Yeah.
Technically.
No, that shit was awesome. That was awesome. But then the Cosmic.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Thing. I saw that. At first I didn't even put 2 and 2 together with the track title. And then I hear the lyrics come in. I'm like, oh, sick.
Yeah.
That was so fun.
I think Mixcloud is the one that you can get away with the most. I've never heard of anybody get kicked off that.
Does anybody use Mixcloud anymore?
Apparently, I've heard of people talking about it recently because of that exact reason. But I guess Mixcloud's pretty lax on that.
So Mixcloud, it used to like you could post anything on there, but you couldn't like backtrack to like look at the track when you're actually like listening to a mix. I know that, so maybe they had it somewhere like that with the copyright, so that's why they could post it. But now they're doing like this whole thing where you can just live stream and there's no copyright and you can do whatever. But the thing is, like, maybe 7 people I've ever talked to in my life know what Mixcloud is that isn't a DJ. Also,
that isn't a DJ. Yeah, for sure. No, for real.
So, yeah. And then with SoundCloud, I had a little fuzz. Did you guys
see
that? It's like, what was that? That was trippy.
That was crazy. Because I saw it on my screen and then I saw it in real time. I was like, that was weird. So then I started trying to post stuff on SoundCloud because I used to post mixes back in the day, but then SoundCloud was taking down my stuff for copyright. So that's why I just like stepped away from all of it. And then during this quarantine, I was like, I'm gonna bring Free Yourself back. But like you said, I wanted it to be a way for people to more intimately get to know artists and stuff. And then also with the whole this is a health crisis, right? And like I'm really big on the fitness and health and wellness and all that. So I was like, I'm also gonna have health experts on, and I've got a bunch of friends that are in the industry, whether they have either it's just personal training degrees with a crap ton of other added certifications on, or people with nutrition degrees, people that own gyms. And it's good because all of them, like, they don't have any stock in like a 30, 60, 90, like fast get fit now thing. And so they're able to like break all the myths, and then same with like supplements and stuff. There's just a lot of myths in the health and fitness,
Yeah.
And then
we've had all DJs except for Jay. Was it first episode or second?
I think it was our first one.
First one, yeah. So besides Jay, we had Jay DeMerit on, but besides him, it's been all DJs. I just was like, oh yeah, we had Jay. There's the one sports thing we had, and then we had the rapper. That was it. All DJs, right?
Yeah.
Besides that, yeah.
But I love that, having like that an eclectic mix. Like we do, we throw a festival called Rise and Shine FamJam Fundraiser, and we donate 100% of the proceeds towards sending kids to these soccer camps and to DJ camps that we also run. And it's so cool because the camps are run also by Jay Demerit. So Jay is, he used to be the captain of our professional soccer team here in Vancouver. He played for Watford FC. He's played in the World Cup. He's like a pretty well-known.
For USA.
Yeah, for USA.
Your boy.
He's a pretty well-known soccer player. And so he started the Rise and Shine Foundation and started these camps, and they're built on the premise that a lot of kids, you know, since the research came out where it's like 10,000 hours until you're professional at something, a lot of parents are vetting their kids into one sport or an academy style, and they're learning one thing, and less than 2% of them are going to become professional. So they're not getting a balanced perspective on life, and a lot of them are set up to fail. So the camps are about elite level soccer training, but then all encompassing life skills as well. So he'll bring in like social media experts, firefighters, other professional athletes, photographers. I always do sports psych with the kids. And so it's really cool to have that like well-rounded holistic approach. And then we did DJ camps last year, and we took the same approach. So we had a firefighter come in and teach the kids like how to tie these knots and like do pulley systems. We had a photographer come in, and then a whole bunch of other DJs in the industry. So I love that you're doing that too, that sort of holistic approach where it's like, you know, we're all artists and DJs and musicians, but we're also so much more than that. And I think that, you know, we don't need to like slot ourselves into like one specific pigeonhole, and certainly, you know, shed a lot of light on the importance of health and wellness and fitness, because
we like to party, but we also like to stay alive.
We like to take care of ourselves. Yeah.
That's amazing. I did not know that you guys did that. That's
cool.
First off, I am a huge soccer fan. So, so I gotta ask, who's your English Premier League team?
I don't really have a team necessarily. Do you? We don't really watch.
Is Watford a team? Isn't that? I don't even know. I don't even watch it. If they are, well, that's supposed to be our team. Right, Jay?
It would have to be Watford for sure, but we don't we don't have cable. We don't really like watch TV or watch sports or anything, but definitely soccer fans. Like I grew up playing soccer. I played soccer on scholarship all through university, and like played semi-professionally for a while too, and tore my ACL just like you playing soccer. I've had 2 surgeries. But I don't know if I can say that I have a team, but
we don't follow it. So
who's your team?
Well, watch Jay's story if you can.
I'm a big Arsenal guy over here. I've always been a Arsenal fan. But Watford. So I think it's Elton John has stock in Watford.
And they're friends. He's friends with Jay.
Yeah.
He calls him on Christmas, like, Merry Christmas. We're just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Dude, Elton just called me. We're like, sick.
He looks after his kids when he's in town and stuff.
Babysits his kids. Well, watch Jay's story. It's pretty awesome. It's on YouTube, right? Isn't it? The Rise and Shine?
It's called Rise and Shine. The Rise and Shine story.
Jay
I can send it to you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Amazing story. Jay's story is mind-blowing.
How long have you guys been doing that festival?
Should have been our 4th year this year. Well, it will be our 4th year.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna have to do it online this year, but this will be our 4th. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty small festival. It's about 1,000 people, and it's beautiful though. Where we do it in Pemberton, it's so beautiful. It's like 360 degrees, surrounded in mountains, and just beautiful green, lush grass everywhere. You got to come next year. You have to come. It's it's really, I think that because there's so much integrity behind it. So like, the organizers are all volunteers. We have a huge volunteer team, and we donate 100% of the proceeds. So the integrity behind the festival is really strong, and you can certainly feel that energy when you're at the festival. You know, everyone's a little bit more lifted, and
super chill.
Much more likely to listen to rules and regulations. And
it's like a big family. It's amazing.
It attracts like a professional party crowd, I think.
Yeah. And people are all there to give, and they know they're giving, and everyone's just so helpful. It's just the vibes are never even had one problem.
Yeah. Someone needed a Band-Aid once.
One Band-Aid, yeah.
No, there's been small things.
But everyone's just there to help. It's like, people are very chill. it's all, they're just, you know, they're there for the kids and obviously to dance too, but it's just different, you know, when you're going for that reason. So it's cool.
That's awesome. And is there, so is the camps what all the proceeds go to, or is it like a foundation? Is the Rise and Shine Foundation? Is that?
Yeah, which does go to the camps.
Yeah.
So it funds them.
Yeah,
Okay.
we sponsor kids, deserving kids to go to the camps. So
because it costs so much for kids, but not all kids can afford it. So we try to like find kids who like really, you know, should be going to, but they can't because it's not cheap, and then sponsor them, I guess, with the proceeds. So it works.
And then for the DJ camp, we actually sponsored all 100% of the kids.
The first year, last year.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I'm new in this group called Aftershock, and the whole premise behind it is throwing shows, throwing festivals, doing stage takeovers, and making it cool to give back to the community. So like every artist that's in it is linked up with a certain cause, and they already have, Aftershock as a whole already has a show, a one-day festival with the Jed Foundation, which is suicide prevention and stuff. And then we're setting up another thing with another, I guess a one-day type festival thing with a rehab, Recovery Unplugged. The recovery and addiction, mental health is what I'm, you know, what I support and what I'm trying to bring awareness to with the Free Yourself podcast. Free Yourself is actually a term from Narcotics Anonymous, in the whole grand, it's, I don't know how to explain it because like you have to know what a burning desire is in it. But anybody that's in recovery, that's been to
like from the program, you mean, right? It's from their program.
Yeah. And
cool.
so now we're setting up a whole show with Recovery Unplugged, and we just put together the whole like 3-year, you know, plan for it and all of it. So that's awesome that you guys are doing that.
That's cool you do that. Yeah, it feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's nice to give back.
It's
Like,
the best.
I threw shows for like 15 years, just, you know, just trying to like, you know, I loved it, but also it was a business to make money. And then this has just been like totally for free. And I can't believe how awesome
the most lucrative thing that we do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We've raised a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
And it feels so good.
So good. Just give it all away.
Yeah.
And it's like another thing that you love. Like you grew up playing soccer and you have a sports psychology. You said a master's in sports psychology?
Yes. Yeah.
So I went to school for, I got a liberal arts degree. I was going to do health and phys ed. And I was like, I don't want to be a teacher anymore. I just want to, because I fell in love with music. And I was like, I just want to get out of college. And so I got a health and coaching minors. But the reason why I bring that up is because through all of that, my favorite class that I ever took was sports psychology. And Dr. Otley, this woman, she's like, first off, I'm not sure if it's Jamaican or Trinidad and Tobago. I went to college a long time ago. How young I look, you know. So I took her class. It was probably like 2010, you know. Damn, that's a decade ago. Oh my God. All right, so anyway, she's either Jamaican or from Trinidad and Tobago, and she's got like dreads all the way down to her ass, and like, but she's also like the head sports psychology. It was back then. At first, it was for Trinidad and Tobago. Then it was for actually the American Olympic team. So she, like, Westchester University has some of the most way overqualified teachers for the health and phys ed department. Like every single teacher that I had in that had a doctorate, and like it's just Westchester University. Like it's a small state college, like 12,000 people in Pennsylvania, and they're just like it was. But that class in particular, you know, I played hockey in college. That was, you know, what I did, and it was. I finally like got my eyes open to like, you have the talent, Ryan. The only thing that gets in your way is your head and your fears, and it opened up a whole new world to that part of it. And then you know, we went to.
Ain't that true with everything in life?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Like so many people have asked me like when about shows, like, do you ever get nervous like going on stage? And like first of all, I've learned that the more prepared I am, the less nervous I am, right? And
Totally.
my first big gig with Chris was opening for the bingo players at Nodo.
Awesome.
And that was like such a, I like bingo players are one of the reasons why I started DJing and producing, you know what I mean? So it was actually, and it was Cinco de Mayo 2 years ago. So, you know, right around that time. But it was like I like teared up a little bit when I got that, you know what I mean? Like it was like a big deal to me. And one of our friends that came with us, you know, right before we're going on stage, he's like, are you guys like nervous? And I look at him with like the biggest smile on my face. I was like, I've been DJing for 8 fucking years preparing for this goddamn moment. I am so pumped right now. I'm not nervous at all. Like I'm so ready. And then Chris is so even keeled. Like he's not like ever, like I'm the opposite of Chris when it comes to that. Like, and he's just like, yeah, I'm just ready to go. Like I'm ready to have fun. But like he says, he's like monotone whenever we're talking and stuff, and that's why I'm the one that's like, you know, up on top of the DJ booth, like raging with the crowd, and he's like calm and stuff. But man, the mindset that comes with just even like little things like smiling when you're nervous or smiling when you're sad, like the endorphins that get released and all of that stuff, like man, that's awesome that you have. So how much have you been able to apply what you've learned to your performances?
For sure, yeah. Certainly, I think that I use I run my own business doing sports psychology, so I have a whole clientele of athletes that I work with. Awesome. But yeah, it's, you know, DJing, it can be performance based for sure. I mean, it definitely is. But yeah, we use a lot of things that I've learned, like goal setting, for example, is a big one. But I think that, you know, with the performance side of things too, like the circumstance that you're talking about when you're overly nervous, or someone might be overly nervous before you go and play, I think there's a lot of coping mechanisms that you can set in place. So for me, I get nervous every time. So I think the first part of it is realizing that that's just my body getting ready to play, and it doesn't mean that it's necessarily a bad thing. So if you can think about like your butterflies like flying in formation for you instead of against you, so you change your attitude towards it and welcome it, so you're not resisting. But then I'll take a couple quiet minutes by myself, always, every time, and I tell myself I deserve to be here, and I just keep saying that to myself over and over again, because it's something that I truly believe in, because I know that I work really hard for everything that I have. And if I can ground myself in that belief, that will give me enough confidence to get on the stage and feel like I belong there and I deserve to be there. And then I think that, you know, if there's anything that makes people feel anxious or fearful, it's usually the fear of the unknown, you know, unknown factors, or fear of failure, or making a mistake, or judgment, or what others think of you. And all of those things are things that are outside of our control. So I think when you really peel it back, it's just about focusing on what you have control over and letting everything else go. So in those moments when you're DJing, if you're worried about, you know, what the important person behind you is thinking and watching you, or what the crowd is thinking, I mean, you have to have an awareness of the crowd, of course. But if it's on that level of judgment and worry, then I'm no longer focused on what I'm doing. And now I'm going to be way more likely to make mistakes. And when you make one mistake and you can't let go of that, you're more likely to make multiple mistakes in a row. So it's about like having the audacity to be able to like stop and only focus on what you have control over. And I think that takes a lot of practice and mindfulness. I mean, mindfulness is a really, really, really key part of our lives and of my practice in everything, in sports psychology, in DJing, you know, in our physical fitness as well. I think that, you know, learning how to become very, very present, and because as humans, we have very good memories and very good imaginations. So, you know, we hold on to things that happened in the past and we project things that could potentially happen in the future. And then we forget to just be. Because if you're present, if you're very present, it's hard to most cases to be anything other than joyful and accepting. And so
that's why we always stop when we play and look at each other, say our little thing, come back, and even if our heads are all over the place, we make sure that we do that and then go. And then
we have like a little mantra that we say together.
And then when we do that, no matter what we're thinking about or making up in our minds, it's like boom, okay, we're ready, it's good to be nervous. I think, like, I was talking to Z-Trip once before he went on. He's like, I'm kind of, he's feeling butterflies and stuff. I'm like, oh, you still do? He's like, yeah. He's like, it'd be weird if I didn't. Like, it's a good feeling. You're stoked. You're going out there to jam, and that's like, it would be weird if you didn't, I think. I don't know if I'd call it nervousness. More like I get like excited. Bouncy.
It's on the more excited side.
Sometimes nervous, I guess.
I get fucking nervous every
time. The two emotions of anxiety and nervous versus excited, they're very similar. Like if at any time, if I do feel anxious or nervous, it's like, no, you're just excited. Like I
tell yourself that. Yeah.
So even if it is that I'm nervous and anxious, it's like, no, I'm just excited. It trick the brain. There's a lot that goes into, just the simple things that you say after, like I am, or just I, like I'm, like you talked about the whole mindfulness and all this stuff. This is the stuff that like gets me freaking going. Like I love this. So, about remaining present, like what funny, like one of my favorite quotes is, if you have one foot in yesterday and one foot in tomorrow, you're pissing on today. And you spread your legs open and so that's
no matter what happens, you got to keep the humor in it too. Like even the festival where we were driving to when we made our little mantra that we've always said, that was the festival where we were all messed up for like 40 minutes that we couldn't play because we had to download shit on our computer. But we're just like, we kept it, we didn't freak out. We didn't like lose it. We just had to laugh about it. You can't control it. You just gotta,
or like this situation that we're all in right now too. I think is a good example. Like we could sit here and be super upset, and of course there were moments where we were upset, but about like our festival getting canceled, and like we finally got booked for Shambhala this year. We've been trying forever, and that was like a big
20 years
big win for us, and we're so excited. And now it's like that's not happening.
Well, you can laugh about it,
but it's like we can choose to remain present, and I think keep, again, going back to what I said before, keep control over the things that we have control over in this moment, because I think that making the most of it uncertain or bad situation, I think guarantees that the path is one that you can be proud of when you look back. So that presence piece is really, really, really important, I think, for everything.
Don't piss on the present. I like
Don't piss on the present.
I like that.
And with everything that you're talking about, there's a prayer in narcotic. Well, it's a prayer in general. It's not a Narcotics Anonymous prayer, but the Serenity Prayer. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this, but grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And so that's another thing. Like if it's one thing to be in the moment and in the emotion, but then to be able to step out and have the awareness of the emotion, to then step back and be like, it's not that serious, Ryan. It's just not that serious.
Yeah.
Everything's okay.
Have fun.
Look right where your feet are. That's where you are. Everything right in your the only thing you can control is how you react to everything that happens around you. You can't control anything else that's going on. And man, there's that especially when it comes to being a duo. You know what I mean? Like I have to just like back away, let Chris go, because whether he messes up or not, first off, we're so hyper aware, right, of all the little things that comes with DJing. The crowd usually doesn't know when someone messes up when they're DJing.
Yeah,
we think we know.
We know. We know if it's the slightest bit off, but you
gotta really fuck up for them to notice. We've noticed, but we're like, fuck! I can't believe we did that. someone will be like, what are you talking about? Like, okay.
That's the thing. That's the other thing. Like they're feeding off of your energy. So if you're just like, you're still smiling through the
Keep
mess
it
up,
smiling.
it's still going, like they won't even know.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man, there's so many. I really miss. That's what makes for me all the hours in the studio, all the promotion, all the social media, all the the wake up self-doubt, Ryan, you just got to keep going. Like it's getting in on that stage and like having that moment to connect with Chris and the moment to connect with the crowd. That's why that's what makes it all worth it. So like this time, that's the only part of it that I'm sad about, but like it's given me the opportunity to restart the Free Yourself podcast and in a whole new, a different way. And, I'm trying to figure out to still make it like once a month with the music and, just like it has to be fully unreleased. Like you haven't even sent it out to a label yet. I don't want like anything, but that's tough to find all that music too. So we'll see what happens with this. I'm just really grateful that so many people that I've reached out to have been like, yes, like I want to do it. It's good, and it's just it's making me really grateful for this time and the title Free Yourself. Like when people listen, like hopefully they just like forget about the shit that's going on. Get their head away from the negative thoughts about what could happen and just like focus on like some awesome people that make music or that are experts in health and I don't know, maybe learn a little bit, I know that the people that I support when it comes to, even comedians or artists or, anybody that does or makes anything, when I know the person, it makes me want to support them more.
Totally.
So the more people that I can have on here and can introduce them to people is hopefully the more people will get to know that person, like that person, and want to just support them. Like there's a lot of DJs and producers that I'm friends with that like I don't listen to that style of music, but I'm gonna buy their stuff. I'm gonna like all their stuff, like just because I want them to succeed. Like I like them as a person, what I mean? And that's
Shed love.
That's what I hope this can provide for people. So, you guys have any new releases scheduled? Coming out with Average Gypsy.
Yeah, we have a song called Mobile Phone coming out
22nd of May this month.
Well, I
22nd.
Forgot what month it was.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at the calendar. 22nd of this month. Yeah, it's our next one, Mobile Phone.
Yeah, and then
Shepherd Records.
Yeah, that's a cool one. It's we like went crazy with pitch bending, and it's like it's really cool.
Heard it in feedback.
Yeah, I think you did hear it. Yeah.
I did.
So that one's coming out, and then we've been working on this EP. We finished this EP, which is really cool, and it's like more kind of like G house styles, I would say.
Kind of, yeah.
G house, UK garagey, but we have a real, I guess we can say,
Dread MC.
Yeah. Do you know who Dread MC is?
I
don't know if you know him, but he's
killing it right now in bass house.
Yeah, he's like a pretty well-known MC in the bass house scene, and we've just been like stoked on him for a long time, and we just ended up connecting, through this whole time when everyone's way more accessible, and we're like, hey, check out this track, and he was like, I dig this, so that he sent us vocals, and so we've been chopping that up. We're trying to lay the vocals out. As soon as we've done that, then the track's already done and the EP's done too. So
that hopefully comes out.
Doesn't have a home yet though. So
and we got a bootleg coming out in June as well that we're doing with Epitome the collab.
Yeah, we're working on a Cruel Summer remix.
We thought it was fitting.
Cruel Summer. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
We're ever gonna put it out. Like this is the year.
So many of the lines in the song though are just so eerily like exactly what's happening, like leaving me here on my own, and like,
and this shit's like 40 years old.
Trying to smile, but the air is so heavy and dry. And like all these lyrics were like, oh, we'll use that, we'll use that, we'll use that.
That's an old track too.
What did
Almost
they
40,
say?
37,
What did they say?
36 years old. It's old.
That's
old.
Awesome. We got a lot to look forward to from Average Gypsy. How did you guys come up with the name Average Gypsy?
You want to take this one?
Yeah, well, I was, my DJ name was always Average Citizen. So I thought that was hilarious because I was the farthest thing from an average citizen. So thought it was funny.
He was a crazy man.
Thought that'd be a funny DJ name, as is everyone. And then, I, like what she was talking about earlier, how when we first met, we started kind of dating, went to Lightning in a Bottle and the whole butterfly thing. I was like, you're going to be Neon Gypsy. So I just like spit that out there and she stuck with it. So she was Neon Gypsy for like a bit, and then
I had a small solo career.
Small. It was like
one song, one set.
Did you play 2 shows?
Oh, maybe 2.
Or you dropped at MGK. You dropped a track with
I played a song at the MGK concert.
Yeah, we threw. I was throwing hip hop shows for years, so we'd do this MGK, and I was playing in its trap group. So I'm like, oh, we're gonna open for MGK, which is so random, but it was dope. But anyway.
Oh yeah. Uh-oh. I lost you.
I hope I said his city right. Kill me. Pretty sure it's Cleveland.
Yeah,
he's
hella famous.
Hella famous, yeah. He's like battling Eminem and shit. He's awesome. Yeah. But we've known him for a long time, ever since he was coming up. I did like 3 or 4 shows with him. But this show, she never played in front of a crowd. It's like 900 people there, and she came out and dropped a track. It's wild, right?
Yeah.
I must have felt
and then
amazing.
I played like a really like sweaty, dirty underground rave.
That
was like my first real show.
Yeah, but that was the only one, right?
I think so, yeah.
And then we just came together. So Average Gypsy.
So we merged Neon Gypsy and Average Citizen together to create Average Gypsy.
Yeah.
The short answer.
The short answer, yeah. So it's kind of, people are like, what a random name, but that's the story.
It's provocative.
That's awesome. So where my head went is the Peaky Blinders. And that, I don't know if you guys don't even say you don't even have a TV, but the Peaky Blinders.
Well, that's Netflix. We have TV.
We have Netflix. We
Netflix.
just don't have cable. Yeah.
Cable's too much time wasting for us. So Netflix, though, we like to waste a bit of time.
But yeah, we watched some of the Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
So they're all gypsies. That's like that's what their group is. Then the Peaky Blinders, they got the the razor blades and the hat and stuff. So I'm like, hopefully they're like got some badass like gypsy story. Like that. I'm like, oh, that's what I was hoping for.
It's just a worder.
I just always called her my gypsies, and then the neon thing. Literally, we're on a bus to a festival in LA, and somebody had a neon bag, and I was like, Neon Gypsy.
Yeah, and I was wearing all neon too.
Yeah.
Neon
but I looked at the bag. There was like a really bright bag, and I was like, that's how it happened.
Yeah.
And your symbol is really unique. I love it. How did you guys personally make it? Did you send out an idea to someone?
Yeah, we have like our designer put it together, but we came up with the idea of having like the part of the Om symbol with it because because the Om symbol really means like oneness of all creation, and definitely represents, what we were talking about earlier in our mindfulness practice and yoga as well is a big part of our lives too. But yeah, we like had these ideas of how our designer actually put it together, but we were like, we wanted to have like a part of the Om symbol in it.
Nick Pons is genius.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You guys big on yoga?
Yeah, we do a lot of yoga.
Can't remember a day that went by I didn't do it for a long time now.
Yeah, we do a lot of yoga.
Every day.
That's another thing.
You do yoga?
That's another thing that I've really, so I've had a membership. First off, I worked at the gym that I have a membership to now, but they have like 150 classes per week. And so I always wanted to, because I took Pilates for credits in college. Like that was one of my courses for the health and coaching, degree and all that.
Cool.
And I always wanted to get back to it. And then like I listen to so much freaking Joe Rogan, he always talks about hot yoga, and I'm like trying to find a hot yoga studio. And then I've taken like every now and then I take a yoga class, and like I love yoga. And then finally during this quarantine, the Down Dog app became free. So I've done like so much yoga over the past, month and a half month that I've been, on lockdown in Jersey. And now that it went not free anymore. But
you.
Like,
did you subscribe?
I was like, forget it. Like there's so much free stuff on YouTube, but I like that the app, you can pick like beginner 1, 2, intermediate 1, 2, expert 1, 2, and then you can have it like a focus of the practice. So like I have really a lot of tightness in my lower back. One, because I sit on this is like a bar stool that swivels. This is my chair for my studio. First I got it because I was like, oh, it's gonna be like an exercise ball, and I'm gonna sit up straight. And like a lot of times I wind up.
Yeah.
Anyway, but also from powerlifting, and I've strained my lower back and stuff before, and now yoga lower back stretches is like the focus of all my practices. And I do a full practice, so you can pick like gentle, restorative, hatha, yin, I think is another one. And I can get every single time I do it can be a new like
class
pattern, a new class every single time. So I bought it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy this now.
Okay,
now it's not free, and I'm so happy I've been able to. So now it's like part of my waking up is doing if a little bit, if not a full practice, because I've got my heavy speakers here. I can still do a little bit of powerlifting. They got handles on them, and they're 40 pounds each. And I've got a backpack that I fill up with a crap ton of water bottles and a pull-up bar. So I'm getting a lot of different types of exercise now. And I got
yoga's life. Like I can't, if I miss a day, which I haven't in, I don't know, forever, but it's like you notice. Like,
it's so good because it's like strengthening your whole body and working on the flexibility piece too, which is so important and so overlooked. Like you're saying, you have a tight lower back, but that's, not just because you have a tight lower back, it's probably coming from other things, like you said, is sitting in your chair, the way you move, or, it's all connected, it's all one. And I think yoga does such a good job of incorporating all those things together. But yeah, it's so transformative. Like I always feel like a different person, like magic. It's like magic. Right after you get off your mat, you're like, okay,
life.
That's I can start my day now.
cold shower and then yoga every morning, bulletproof.
And then a bulletproof coffee.
Yeah. Magic 3.
Another good thing about the app, like I've since I've been in recovery, the meditation has become a huge part of my life, and at the end of it, you can set how much time you want for your meditation at the the app and stuff. So they'll play some like chimes and all that stuff. Like I'm huge. Like I love Tibetan bowls, crystal bowls. Chakra meditation. Like I love, because it's like you said, like you feel like a different person when you're
it's medicine.
It's and a really cool way it was described to me is that our body is made up of all atoms, right? And atoms, it's the neutrons, the protons, and the electrons are going like all crazy around the atom. So mostly an atom is made up of mostly energy. So really, we're mostly energy. And then the bowls and the meditation make it so that the electrons, instead of going like all crazy all over the place, they start to go in sync with each other. And so that's why you kind of you I almost feel like I can feel the energy. Like I don't know how to explain it other than like I can feel the energy coming off my body, and it's like they talk about the aura that you have, and like when after I'm done a meditation, I'm like, I can't see it, but like I know it's there. Like I feel it. Like I feel it all there.
Totally.
Yeah, you feel like more like an area, and it's like you look at yourself as like outside yourself almost. Yeah, it's meditating is also so key. Like I totally am a different person if I meditate every day, or if I miss it. Same as yoga. We do the same thing right after. It's awesome.
So Josh has been like cultivating his meditation practice pretty heavily for the past like a year now.
Well,
maybe?
I started November.
Or maybe less than a year.
Just after your birthday, I started.
Okay. So, and like meditation's been a big part of my life for a really long time. And it's something like my master's thesis is in self-compassion and mental toughness. And like a big piece of self-compassion is mindfulness. So this is something that I'm like very educated in and something that I'm super passionate about. But I'm so happy that Josh, like he got the Calm app and started doing it. And it was so funny because after the first couple of weeks, he looked at me like dead in the eyes and was super serious. And he's like, Dani, is it possible to be addicted to meditating? And I was like, oh, I'm so happy that question ended with meditation.
Yeah,
right.
It was fucking hard at first. Like it was actually physically painful. Like I couldn't sit. I couldn't do it for 5 minutes without pains in my backs and shoulders. Like it's nuts. And now it's like peaceful and like I need it to, or I feel pain if I don't do it. Totally switched, and I can go like 25 minutes now. But like before, it's like 5 minutes. I was like, I'm moving, and like I was like, what's wrong with me? Like it's crazy. Yeah, it's a must. Yeah. I think it was like, I don't know. After I hit like 50 hours, I noticed quite a change in my whole life. Really. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's like controlling. I think that, as humans, if we start to gain control over our thoughts, our emotions, and our environments, then we can start to have a lot more control over everything. But like, we can't always control the environment, obviously, but we can control our thoughts, and our thoughts are highly linked to our emotions. And through meditation, we start to learn how to carve out that path towards, navigating our thoughts and separating ourselves from our thoughts as well. So I think it's so critical, so important.
I'm just realizing that you're not your emotions. Like another mind-blowing thing.
like emotions don't last forever, and this too shall pass. Like
nothing lasts forever. No.
Nothing. And so when you meditate, do you do it sitting up? Do you do it laying down?
I do sitting up. I've done a few laying down, but I kind of, it's like I just might pass out, or I'm not as focused. I don't get as much out of it. So I always just sit up cross-legged, just on a pillow or whatever. Yeah.
Sometimes I'll lay down because
every day
I have a bad knee because I had a couple of knee surgeries in it. So if it's like, if it's a bad knee day, then sometimes I'll lay down, or I'll like try to sit straight legged or something, because cross knees for a long time can be pretty painful. But usually it's okay. But if I decide to go for like a hill run or something stupid for my knee, then
messes it up. And I keep my back so straight
for a few days.
Like I was like, I couldn't do it without moving when I first started, but now it's just like straight back. Like I don't even move the whole time. You really get control of your mind. It's awesome. I didn't realize I didn't have any fucking control before I started. Like, whoa. Getting a handle on it, kind of.
I learned laying down after a yoga class, so I've just always stuck with laying down, and I have a really, really comfortable bed. But it's a lot of times it's how I end my day. Like after I do yoga, especially with this app, I'll make sure that I have the meditation, and I always catch myself like, do I think I only have enough time for 5 minutes? And I'm like, oh no, like I don't even, I'm not gonna do the meditation after. I'm just gonna, I gotta get going with my day. That's when I'm like, nah, you gotta sit down for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
that's when you need it the most.
That's when you need more. Is when so like now I have that awareness. But that's how I quiet. That's how I quiet my brain when I'm laying down to go to sleep. I'll put on Tibetan bowl or a guided meditation, or anything that was not so much bothering me that day, but like I've been doing a lot of healing meditations lately, just because of everything that's going on, and with my lower back, and always focusing on I don't know if you know who Dr. Joe Dispenza is.
Of course.
Oh yeah, just finished his book.
I want to go to one of his event things. do that. But
have you read his last book that he just put out?
No, I haven't. All I've seen is his stuff on Instagram, and he's got like now, because I've been following him for the past year or so, I keep getting this ad for his online something that he's doing, and I'm like, so here's the awareness, right? I'm like, I don't have time, right? When I have a lot of time right now, I'm not willing to make time to do it, but I really probably should, because it's a meditation and another way to like heal the body. And so now as I'm talking out loud to you guys, I'm catching myself like, oh, Ryan, you were saying you didn't have time. Every time you saw the ad, you're just like, no, like just go. But really, like, I'm making time for certain things like this, like my music, like exercise, like hitting my new longboard that I'm so freaking pumped that I got to ride around. Oh man.
Yeah, check out the book.
Well, now you're gonna have to sign up for that class.
Did you finish the book?
Now I have to, right?
You have to, yeah.
Did you finish it?
I haven't finished it. No, I'm about halfway through it.
Yeah, I read it and she started. It's great. Yeah, if you read, it's good.
I'm a lot more likely to listen to the audiobook. That, once again, making time to read has not been a priority. But when I'm going about my day doing stuff, I like to listen to a lot of podcasts. And so it's like, I'm a DJ and a producer, but like when I'm working out and stuff, I'm listening to podcasts. I'm not like listening to music. Like a lot of people can't work out without music. Oh, I don't have my headphones is one of my favorite things that I've ever heard. I'm like, first off, music is like a cheat code for working out. Like if you do the workout without the music, then you really have that strength. Then you really have that. That's how I feel about it. But I'm
definitely a cheat code.
so much over the past, I guess it's really over the past 2 years. I've really been a lot more into podcasts, and now like in the car, it's podcasts everywhere. So the reading I used to do right before I would go to bed, that turned into me meditating. And then I'm like, oh, but you just read like a couple pages before you meditate and it'll be even better. And then I'm like, I don't have time, and I make these excuses for it. And what's most important to me right now is waking up, getting my cup of coffee as I write my to-do list, write 3 things I'm grateful for and 3 affirmations. And that's how I start my day now.
It sounds like you live here.
You do a very similar thing.
So do you find, like, when you listen to a book over reading it, do you find you actually get, like, can you take it in as much? Like, I find that if I listen, I'm like interested, but I don't get as much out of it. If I read a full book, I'm like really getting it.
You also, like, he listens to podcasts all day too.
While I work.
But he does it while he works.
That's a lot different.
Which I can't do, because I'll be like really interested in what they're saying, and I won't be able to do anything else. But he like has it running like all day. So
but I don't get as much out of it as I do when I read. Like I just don't. So do you find you actually take it in like that, like audiobooks?
Well, to be honest, I haven't started my audiobook journey. It's I was reading at night before I go to bed, then it switched to the meditation before bed. And then I found about all these podcasts. And so now the time that I had allotted for me listening to music turned into all these podcasts. So then all the, I got a little bookshelf behind the speaker there. I got a bunch of books there, and like almost all of them are half read. And I'm like, maybe if I switch to audiobooks, I'll actually get all the stuff done. So you've caught me in the transition point of, am I going to buy Amazon Audible to have these books that they have and start doing it that way? I'm just like immersed in the podcast world right now. There's so many, just especially what's really important to me right now is finding ways to laugh, and all the comedians that have podcasts and stuff. It's like, their specials are an hour long and they're hilarious, but like 3 hours of just like sitting in on 2 comedians hanging out, like it doesn't, like there's you just laugh so much, and
I love it.
Yeah.
It's so good for
like Joe and Trussell.
Yeah, that Joe Rogan episode with Tressel is like the best thing I've ever seen in my whole life. Like
They've done lots.
Well, they're the one that they did like when I swear they were high on acid, but they were both dressed up. Did you see that one? And
I've seen all the.
They just did another one.
My favorite.
Them two together though is like my favorite because they go deep into these wormholes, and I just love both of their perspectives so much. I think that they both have a very balanced perspective on things, and it's so interesting the way that they break things down. And when they were talking about like the whole COVID situation and talking about like how they're like, what about the big giant fucking fireball in the sky that could kill us at any second? Like, is anyone worried about that?
Nothing we can do about that shit. Have you seen his cartoon though that on Netflix that just came out?
That was gonna be my next question. It's so awesome. I love it.
It's fucking amazing. I started watching it, but she was like busy, so I'm like, I gotta stop watching this shit. This is too good. But it's so creative how he did that with like the podcast and then the whole cartoon thing around it. It's just wow, I think it's awesome. I can't wait to watch the rest. But
yeah, he's
the final episode.
I'm gonna watch it twice. When she's around.
At first, I didn't get the concept that it was It was a podcast. So
yeah, my friend told me, so I like knew.
I just like I love Duncan Trussell. He's my like favorite. So when I heard on the Joe Rogan podcast that it was coming out, and I kept looking, like that's the one thing I was looking forward to the most on Netflix. And then finally, like one day I saw like out now, Midnight Gospel. I'm like, oh my God, it's finally here. And I watched like 4 episodes right away. And
they're short too, right? Are they like 20 minutes or something?
Yeah, it's like 20.
Yeah,
some of them are like 20, and then some of them are like 35. And then the last one I think is 42 or whatever. He gets real deep. It's with like his mom who's passed away. Oh my gosh, it's incredible. And I love the last Joe Rogan episode with Duncan on it. He was like, it's the perfect description of the cartoon. It's like, it's the most Duncan thing you've ever done. It's like, it's so true because like it's awesome. I'm so happy that he plays Clancy in it. Like it's his voice. Like there's just something about Duncan's voice that I just find really calming. And the little guy, it almost like has his type of mannerism. It's him, but a pink little friggin' dude, and it's friggin' I love it so much.
She has no idea what you're talking about.
I can't wait to
I know you're gonna love it. You're gonna
love it.
Our conversation. You're going to love it. I promise.
That's next.
Well, no, I love him anyway, so I'm sure that I'll appreciate it. Have you watched Dave? Have you watched Little Dickie's show?
Yes.
So good.
So good.
Westchester University, where I went to school, is real close to where he grew up because he grew up in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, which is right outside of Philly. And I have a lot of friends that are from that area, that are from like they call it Delco. It's Delaware County, but they call it, and they like rep Delco like really hard, you know. So like when Lil Dicky blew up, they were like Delco, you know what I mean? like really going hard at it. And then I don't have Hulu, so I thought that because it was coming out on cable that I would just be able to see it on demand, like whenever I wanted. So I didn't like record it or anything. So I didn't see it until like 5 episodes in. So I've only seen the second half of the season. I still haven't seen the first half of the season, but
We've only seen the second half. Oh, crazy. You've seen the second half. You haven't seen the first. Oh, interesting. I couldn't watch a show like that. I guess that one doesn't really matter, but still.
But there are some things like I feel like they
started off.
Describe a few things like about like the hype man, and like there's like basically like a whole episode on his background and like why he is the way he is and everything. Did you see that episode?
Was so good.
That was my favorite episode.
No, I didn't see that one.
It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin it for you. You should go back and watch it. But it's like he goes pretty deep with it. It's like kind of somber at times, but I think I cried.
He's great. One of the greatest rappers alive.
With that episode.
Just ask him.
How about that scene where he's getting ready, or he's sitting at the computer and his girl is telling him to get ready, and they make that auto tune, and then he plays it at the end.
At the end, so good.
I'm sitting there like, no.
Yeah,
but I love
his style is the best.
The stuff that he's saying,
so
like when she's like, you don't have time for me or whatever, and he's like, yeah, but what do you mean? Like, I got to do this, and I have to believe in myself. Like, if I don't have this confidence in myself, like, no one else is gonna. Like, what are you talking about? And their conversation was just so real. Like, I really love that, and like his perspective on everything is so interesting and cool. And I really wonder if a lot of it is true. Like, how much of it is actually his real life. And there's like, did you watch the little like the bonus episode at the end where they kind of talk about how it is supposed to be about his life? But I don't know, I'm like, how much of it is actually like, how much of this actually happened? So I'd be interested to know.
But yeah, it's great. So well written. It's good.
Yeah.
I was like again with the same with Duncan, like finding out that Lil Dicky was having a TV show was like huge, because especially because all my friends that are from that area, like it was so cool to see, because I've seen Lil Dicky live like a couple times.
Oh really?
And so I saw him at Electric Zoo in New York, a big EDM festival, right? That's in New York. He was on that lineup, and he was at Camp Bisco, which is another big EDM festival, and he at both times, because it was 2016 for both of them. It was like beginning or midsummer, and then Labor Day weekend. So I got to see him twice in one summer, and with both performances, he's like, I don't know why I'm even on this EDM like bill for this concert. He's like, I don't even like EDM. He's like, and then at the Izu, the one at Izu, he's like, hold on, make some noise if you actually bought my album. And it's like me and like my 10 friends are like the only ones be like, yeah, we love it.
And that's why he's there.
Yeah, right. Like, but he puts on a great performance. There's a lot of crowd interaction, which I've really come to admire with certain artists. I saw my one buddy he actually just came out with a track with Cascade. I was so happy for him. He's a rapper that moved out to LA. He's from my area. Like 13 years ago, he moved out to LA. And he has he's done songs with like Modest Yahoo and who's another? His name is Kosha Dills. He's like a really, really Hasidic Jew, really deep into his religion, and so he reps it really hard, and like Kosha Dill, like that whole branding. But he did a song with Cascade, and so he reached out to me. He's like, I want to try and get you hooked up with something. He's like, I've got some, and I'm not gonna like name the names of the other people but he's starting to do some stuff with people that I'm like, this is fucking nuts, man. I'm like so happy for this guy, like, cause when I saw him live the first time, every single song that he had something where he interacted with the crowd, and it made the whole crowd like a part of the performance.
Makes it so much better, right? So important.
It makes it so much better. And like since then, I'm trying to figure out ways that I can do that as a DJ, besides the like, put your hands up, like jump when this drops, like the typical like stuff that I've seen every freaking DJ do.
Yeah.
And but I'm always trying to find ways to set us apart from the next live performance.
Yeah.
And stuff. And
it's important.
Someone came and put Tiger Balm on my nipples while we were DJing once.
Beautiful.
Interesting crowd reaction.
Probably felt great, right?
It was spicy.
That's funny. I went crowd
Oh, I
surfing.
love Island. The Island's awesome.
Yeah, I went crowd surfing.
Oh yeah, Revelstoke. That
in
was fucking
Revelstoke,
sick.
yeah.
That was great.
That was cool.
If they catch you, crowd surfing's awesome.
Yeah, they might have a harder time holding you up, Ryan.
I tried it once and it wasn't my show, and they didn't catch me, and it sucked.
Really?
Yeah. I was wasted at like a Rusco show, a dubstep show. I'm like, oh, fucking crowds. Don't do it, man. Bad idea. Oh, yeah. No. Don't do that. They caught her just fine.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I was at Tomorrow World down in Atlanta. They had, obviously Tomorrowland. I know you know that, but they had Tomorrow World down in Atlanta.
Oh.
And Steve
Like
Aoki.
Disneyland, Disney World. That's cool.
It's not in Florida. Florida is Disney World. But he
same idea.
Anyway, so Steve Aoki does a stage dive, and I'm watching as he's getting like carried right by me, and someone reaches up and just rips his freaking shoe off and just takes Steve Aoki's shoe, and then he gets put back on stage. He's like, "What the fuck?" But it was
the risks you take.
Huh?
The risks you take. Punk
Yeah,
rock.
right. Be easy to take my Crocs off.
Your Crocs.
The Crocs. That's why you got to jump out barefoot.
Yeah.
Right, and then touch my feet, and if you smell that, hopefully you won't touch my feet anymore. And
That's right. Get a little tickle. That was your first time doing that?
At one of our shows.
Yeah. Oh, you've done it. Oh, yeah, concerts
I've crowd
and shit.
surfed before, but like the first time at one of our shows. Yeah.
That was a wild night. Revelstoke fucking came out. It was a wicked show. That was one of our best shows. Just a little club night in a small ski town. It's amazing.
Ski towns are the best.
Was that like our last show?
No, Whistler was our last show.
Oh, right. Whistler. That was one of our last shows.
Yeah.
Recently, yeah. For a minute, till the pause.
The pause. Great
from
pause.
Vancouver.
Great DJ pause.
Well, we both grew up in like suburbs of Vancouver. I grew up in Coquitlam. He grew up in Abbotsford.
Mm-hmm.
But we've both been living downtown I've been downtown for like 6 years now, I think. And you've
15,
been,
yeah. Long time.
And we're like now ready to leave downtown. It's just like, so we live in Gastown, and it's a really cool, I don't know, have you ever been to Vancouver before?
I've never been to Canada.
You never been? Oh, you gotta come. You gotta come for our festival next summer.
Hell yeah.
But Gastown's really cool. It's like the oldest part of Vancouver. It's all like brick and cobblestone, and there's really cool, like awesome restaurants and bars and cafes. And it's like usually it's full of like really artistic people, and it's touristy too, because there's some iconic things in Gastown and lots of tourists, but it's usually just like bustling with people. But since the lockdown, you really realize like how there's so many tourists because there's nobody around, and there's a lot of like a really big homeless population very close to where we live, and now they're like very much infiltrating the city. And it's really disheartening because there's like a lot, like it's not uncommon for us to like walk out down our alley and see someone like shooting a needle into their arm. Yeah. And so, yeah, we're like, okay, I think it's time that we move out of downtown and, go get a house with a nice big yard. We need outdoor space.
Soundproof studio.
And soundproof, yeah. That's the other complaints. Thing. We have way too many noise complaints since the lockdown, because we've been like live streaming and everybody's home, and so we got a studio space now that we go to. But I mean,
it's nice to have in your house.
Yeah.
Yeah, the subwoofers by Rocky.
We'll pass. They'll be back. Take the boards off soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing. I'm very happy that I have my sub pack, so that my family isn't losing that shit. But I'm trying to work on music, and I have my beautiful QSC KW18s for going out live. And when I had carpet in my room, it felt like this room was really insulated. Like I could play music loudly. I'll go outside and I'll go into the living room and like parents watching TV and all that. And it was pretty, like the carpet helped to soundproof it. Now I took the carpet out, because I shouldn't, I have asthma and I shouldn't have carpet in here anyway. And, now with, COVID and all this stuff, they're talking about asthma makes you high risk. I'm doing all this like crazy shit with my diet. Like there's a lot of changes going on right now to try and get rid of asthma. But now my room is a little echoey and like now I can hear every conversation and everyone can hear my conversations. So it's a whole nother thing. But
let's get some egg cartons.
Yeah.
That's like us. It's all cement here, but you'd think cement would help, but no, base penetrates.
We also have two massive subs in here, so
yeah. Not very apartment friendly.
Now, do you guys have a direct audio thing for your live streams?
Well, we've been doing them in the studio now, so yeah, we just can't even do them here anymore. Like the first one, like when it first happened, we're like, oh, we'll just go live, and we just like did it on our phone. It sounded so brutal, but yeah, now we're doing it properly in the studio. It's all like, it's all dialed in.
We have a direct line for like when we do it with Twitch, but we don't have the proper equipment to do it like our live streams with Instagram for our phone.
Well, when we just do our little interviews, it's mainly talking and stuff. Like we play a track, but it's mainly talking. So it's just they're sold out. Like we've been trying to get them online, the plug-in, but to go to the iPhone, but it's been sold out forever. I mean, it makes sense. So we'll get it when this is over, and then we won't need it.
Yeah. No, I think it's gonna keep going. I don't think it's gonna stop.
Oh, I hope it stops.
He's been live streaming for years.
Oh, I meant the whole lockdown thing stops, not that. I didn't mean that.
I see.
Yeah, I hope it keeps going. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. You weren't P-tiering, so you get away with anything.
Thank you.
Not to bring up, conspiracies and all of this, but did you guys see the University of Pittsburgh researcher that was like had some like really good findings with COVID, and now there was like a murder suicide with oh man, yeah, there's a whole article on it. This guy who's like was either submitted a cure thing to the FDA or I probably shouldn't even talk about this, but I'm gonna post it on the podcast, and now it's gonna like Ryan knows, like
yeah, you just shot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, literally, right?
No, I didn't hear about that. We don't watch the news on purpose.
Yeah.
We never.
That wouldn't be on the news.
Yeah.
Would it be on the news? Yeah, it's on the news.
Well, that one's like a conspiracy thing, so it probably will not be on the news. And YouTube and whatnot. I don't know.
So my buddy sent me the article because I will not, like, if before this already, the only news that I watched was SportsCenter. That was my news. But I definitely don't. The more oblivious I am to the negativity that's on the news, the better. But my friend sent me the article, and it was actually it was CNN. So then I'm like, oh, this is probably some bullshit because CNN is like Democrat and they want to like go at Trump because he's Republican. And so I don't know. But like it definitely happened. Like he was murdered and the guy who murdered him committed suicide in the car after. So like, but that's a hell of a way to tie up loose ends when you're freaking, like that shit blows my mind. But like, it
wild world.
Who knows?
And so this guy had submitted a cure for coronavirus. Is that what you said?
That was the next article that I saw of someone tweeted saying, wow, the University of Pittsburgh submitted a cure to get approved by the FDA. Watch one of these scientists ends up dead. And then a month later is the article of the scientist murder-suicide for the guy who was like the head of the research team or whatever. So all I know is that the only real way to like open up festivals and shows of any sort, like big gatherings of any sort, is if it's so, terrible and deadly, is if they come up with a vaccine and everyone gets the vaccine, right? Like, so this whole thing the lockdown and everything kind of hinges on whether or not there's a vaccine. guess, like, I don't know. I got the antibody test and I'm pissed. I don't have the antibodies, but I was sick for 9 days. I had a fever. So I was like, well, what did I have then? Like, so that was like 3 weeks ago. So.
Well, can't they, like, one of my girlfriends was saying that they can't even really test for it because they don't even know, like, fully what it is. So, like, the coronavirus tests aren't even accurate.
Well, see,
there's still hope.
Yeah, like, and
the antibodies.
after I got the antibody test, I heard, well, there's 30 strains. And then I heard, well, you could have had it, but then it didn't get into your bloodstream, so then there was no need for antibodies to be formed. And I'm like, oh, so what's the point of me getting the antibody?
Nobody knows.
No, yeah. Yeah, it's
keep making dope music,
it's
man.
wild. Yeah, that's where we get caught up in all that shit. I think, like, one thing that the media should be reporting is, like, how about we focus on building our immunity? Like, that's where we should be focusing on, right? Not on, like, all the fear of getting it or transmitting it. It's like, let's work on building our immunities all individually, and then collectively we can beat this thing. But I mean, I don't really know enough about, like, either side to base an opinion on if it's conspiracy or not, or what's real and what isn't. And my indication is probably a combination of both. And you know, but I have no fucking idea, so I'm not gonna be like, I don't like to talk about things unless I know what I'm talking about. So I feel like I have no fucking idea what's going on.
I mean, the thing is, what the part of it that kind of breaks my heart, and I'm really happy that the first podcast that I'm putting out is two trainers, and one has a nutrition degree, and they're two of the most brilliant people that I know, that I personally know when it comes to health. And so that's going to be the first one that I put out.
Awesome.
In a few days. But that guy is the guy who, like, helped me out with the diet that I'm on now, and it's an autoimmune protocol, because asthma, eczema, and psoriasis are all things that are autoimmune responses. And I have asthma and eczema, so I'm trying to, figure out with an elimination diet, what causes it, or just, get rid of it in general. And with that diet, I was already eating really healthy. Like, the main thing is, like, eat fruits, vegetables, and real meat, like, right? Like, not friggin' processed food and all the crap of the, standard American diet and, everyone knows about. And, but when I, at the grocery store, what's all left, right? Like, it's the fresh produce, it's the grass-fed beef.
Totally, yeah.
All that
the pasta and rice, toilet paper gone.
That hurts the immune system, that hurts the body, is all the stuff that everybody's buying. And it's like, all right, great. Well, I have all the fruits and vegetables and meat that I can eat, right? Like, it's there for me. But, like, there's no. That's what people should be focusing on. Like, it starts with what you're eating. Like, the whole body, everything's connected. You have an immune system, right? So, like, it's called an immune system, right? So, like, let's focus on building that. And a lot of
it's just knowledge. Like, it goes back to what you said. That's what they should be taught, how to make that stronger, not pasta.
And then, people will be like, oh, but I can keep eating like this and I can just take vitamins. And it's like, well, your body likes real food. So, like, taking vitamin C pills, you're not going to get as much absorption as you would from eating a friggin' orange. And oranges taste great. Eat an orange if you want vitamin C. Like, that's where my head goes. And
depending on the company you're getting it from, you might get zero absorption from it. So you could be wasting your money. It just goes right through you. So.
And there's
knowledge.
A lot of the vitamin C stuff is with some sort of orange flavoring, which is usually an artificial sweetener, which is also not good for the body. Your body can't digest.
Making it worse. Yeah.
Yeah, like, eat orange.
Eat your veggies, kids. Eat your greens. Don't just smoke green all day. Eat it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. So what? I'm curious. Okay, so you're doing, like, an elimination thing now, but is there any from your friend's recommendation for people who have autoimmune? Are there things that they should avoid, or is it all dependent on, like, what kind of advice has your friend given you on what an autoimmune diet should look like?
Amia, pull up my fancy little.
There's an app for that.
So
I really like that Joe Dispenza book. That's what, you know, he goes into a lot of that, actually. So, yeah.
And then also on top of, you know, eating the right things, doing meditations, focusing on building immune system, like everything's, you know, imagine that everything in the body is connected and is one. It's so mind blowing, right?
Yeah.
So the diet that I'm on, it's easy. So the things that I've eliminated are all things that elicit autoimmune responses, plus things that when I eat, they don't sit well in my stomach, like nightshades, which is like tomatoes and peppers and stuff like that. I'm not so sure if like that's eliciting a response. And the guy who I talked to, Sean Nixon, didn't tell me to eliminate nightshades, but I know from my own experience and knowing my body that when I eat, I love tomatoes. They taste great. I love cayenne pepper. Adding stuff helps with it, you know, clear the sinuses. That's the word I was looking for. Helps clear the sinuses out. But tomatoes and peppers, it just doesn't sit well in my stomach. So I was like, all right, let's just cut that out. But he advised me to cut out sugar, dairy, which I'm also, you know, I'm lactose intolerant. I have I'm not going to go to the hospital if I drink a glass of milk or eat cheese. I actually love extra sharp cheddar cheese. So it's like my favorite food. But, you know, the toilet doesn't like me after I, you know, have. So dairy's gone. Legumes, which is like all sorts of like beans, black beans, you know, even chickpeas, which I love. I love hummus, you know, but I'm willing to extend my life by cutting these things. You know what I mean? Like that's what it comes down to. Like, do I want to die of a friggin' disease because I want to keep cheese and kidney beans in my freaking diet? Like, no, I want to eliminate asthma so that I can fight this virus if I get it, right? Like that's where my head goes with it.
It's like an easy choice, but fuck, cheese is so good.
Yeah, like and then also eliminating soy, nuts, any sort of all grains except brown rice is okay, and then preservative or artificial sweeteners. Basically anything with an ingredients list I've eliminated, and then yeah, that's all the stuff that I've eliminated. And then from there, it's you know, there's still, it sounds like I've eliminated a lot, but like in reality, like what I eat on a day-to-day basis is like 1.5 pounds a gram of grass-fed beef, some other sort of meat as well, whether it be, you know, cage-free eggs or free-range chicken and you know, pig or pork. I couldn't think of it. I'm like, should I call it swine? Pork, whether it be pork or bacon. And then, you know, apples, bananas, oranges, mangoes, pears, and then my salad it's a basic salad. Like it's just cucumber, carrot, celery, iceberg, and baby spinach. But I have like basil, oregano, salt, pepper, apple cider vinegar, and extra virgin olive oil and hemp seed oil. How you get a nice mixer of fat in that too. And mustard is okay because mustard seed is okay. But as long as you get organic, right? So I get an organic honey mustard, so it's got organic honey and mustard seed, and I put that in it, and it tastes freaking amazing. So like, I'm
listening to you.
I know.
I gotta make dinner, bro. I gotta go.
My diet now, and just everything takes a little bit of preparation, and you know, I cook for like 2 or 3 days at a time, and it's good. And I feel good after every meal, right? There's no like, you know, like dragging feeling like after I would eat like
yeah, you know, your body knows you right away, like you feel good, or did it taste good and you feel like shit, or did it taste good and you feel good? You do it right, you can have both. People think that like they have to, they're not going to enjoy the food, but you just need to learn to cook properly,
right? And to have, I thought cutting out nightshades was going to eliminate like most of the seasonings besides salt, but black and white cracked pepper is actually made from peppercorn, which is actually a fruit, so that's okay. So I have salt and pepper. Turmeric is okay. Basil, oregano, thyme.
You're good.
Like that's all I need.
Spice it up.
Yeah.
So that's, I can't have cayenne pepper. Oh man.
What about garlic? You have garlic?
Garlic?
Can you do the garlic or no garlic?
Oh yeah, I can have garlic. So I put garlic in my steak, and
you're good.
Do you fuck with intermittent fasting?
Absolutely. I still have not broken my fast today. I love it's like, so there's a couple. I'm really happy you brought this up because I want to know your take on it. So in your, how you know of intermittent fasting, can you take in anything besides water during your fast?
I think that like technically you break your fast if you consume any calories. That's like the technicality of it. But we always have a bulletproof coffee in the morning. So our fast goes from like 8 p.m. until like around noon, 1 o'clock the next day, depending on how we feel. But we always have a bulletproof coffee in the morning. So that's coffee, grass-fed butter, or we actually do grass-fed ghee and medium chain triglyceride oil. And so that is supposed to keep you in a ketogenic state. And so I think it's okay, but like according to some people, that's considered breaking your fast. But I think it
sure doesn't feel like it.
Sure doesn't feel like it, right? I don't know. Other people think it's okay. Like Dave Osprey, who like invented the bulletproof coffee, like seems to think it's okay. I think there's mixed reviews on it, but what are your thoughts?
So when I first got back onto intermittent fasting, because when I was prepping for my powerlifting competition, there was no time. I needed calories upon calories to keep up with the amount of calories I was burning with the training. But after it, like I know the we'll still say supposed health benefits of time sensitive eating. It fucking works. I don't care what I can feel the difference with my bodily functions when I'm drinking a gallon of water in my fast and doing it right. And so, but the other things that I started adding to my fast is 2 or 3 cups of black coffee spread out through the 16 to 20 hours, however long I stretch it for the day.
Yeah.
I have extra virgin coconut oil that I just take a little scoop and put that in there. I'll have a cup of bone broth, which definitely has calories, but like you said, it doesn't fucking feel like it's breaking.
And everyone's different too, right?
I'm still hungry a little bit after,
Yeah.
But the coffee, the bone broth, I have sublingual vitamin D that is what are the other ingredients? MCT oil is one of the ingredients in it. Peppermint oil and olive oil, I think are the ingredients in the sublingual vitamin D. I take lion's mane and alpha GPC. So I used to take alpha brain, but I was feeling a little foggy the next morning, and we were talking to the guy that helped me with my diet. He was like, Huperzine A kind of gives you that foggy. He said it gives him a hangover the next day. And I'm like, it doesn't give you a hangover. He's like, I'm just a little foggy. And then, I take the alpha brain and I'm good. He's like, yeah, that's what a hangover is. You're withdrawing from it and you take it and you're fine. And I'm like,
you shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So he was like, the key ingredient that you want from alpha brain that you're feeling is the alpha GPC. So take that and lion's mane, which is that awesome mushroom. I got baby Groot right there.
Oh, yeah.
I want like a little lion's mane, like fake thing, because it's a beautiful mushroom, but I don't know if I could grow one. So, you know what I mean? Like, I want one though. They're freaking cool looking on the label is where I saw it. It's like, it's wild. But, and then I take,
friends in Portland grow them.
Yeah.
It'd be too far for you.
West Coast, man. I see that the whole West Coast I've never been to. I'm
missing out.
I feel like I was born to live in LA though. That's like where I want to go next, or San Diego, and just live like a block from the beach. That's like anyway. But and then the other two things that I'll drink in my fasting period are this like belly boost immune booster shot that's got like turmeric and black pepper and I forget the other ingredients. I have it all on. I made a post with the ingredients list for the two drinks that I'm talking about. The belly boost immune.
I saw that.
And and one's like a lemon and onion and garlic drink that I promise actually tastes really good. That sounds like a terrible mixture.
Lemon garlic.
Onion and garlic, but it just tastes like hot lemon water, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, you know, who knows if any of that, all that stuff is good for me. So I don't care, you know, I'm not eating food. And then when
you definitely take it to a next level, like just water for us.
You're radiant though. We can feel it. You can feel it through the.
I'm getting healthier just talking to you.
I've got so many issues. So diving into health is like where I'm, you know, trying to find salvation for all these different things. And being someone who, you know, I grew up playing, you know, every sport, you know, that's the other thing that you talked about, you know, a lot of these kids, you know, they're put into like academies at a young age, and you're kind of set up for failure in that sense, because like I grew up playing every sport, and then middle school hit and I was like, I'm just playing hockey. That's what I love the most. So like I was able to choose to play the sport that I wanted, not like put in an academy. I was put in like my parents exposed me to every sport as a kid, like every little rec league that there was. And over the summer camps that I went to an all sport summer camp where they had us play every sport. Yeah. And then, you know, I get to I think it's like third grade. I was like, I just want to go to the specific roller hockey camp instead of all the sports. So then I you know, that's when I started getting into the, you know, just hockey was my main thing. And then after fifth grade, I was like, I don't want to play baseball anymore. I don't want to play basketball. I just want to play hockey. That's all I wanted to do. And then in high school, my high school brought lacrosse into it, and I was like, well, that's just hockey, but instead of down here, it's up here. So let's freaking go. And just from having the same general mechanics with stick handling and stuff, I was able to you know, catch and cradle and the hardest thing for me was just learning left hand versus right hand. And I know not once did I say soccer and all this. So why am I such a big soccer fan, right?
I think that's important to have that like sampling of different sports, and even like some big name athletes like in Canada, like Wayne Gretzky was our like big hockey player, and he grew up sampling tons of different sports, but then just like you, he was able to choose hockey and he loved hockey. But I was the same as you, grew up playing like tons of different sports, and I didn't even choose. Like I played box lacrosse actually for 11 years, and I curled and I swam, I did everything, and then I ended up playing soccer and basketball through university. Like I just couldn't choose. But that's really, I think that's important, having that like those options, that opportunity to like fulfill different skill sets and see kind of what works for you, instead of getting like put into one specific thing.
And looking back on it now, like when I was in college, they're teaching us the different styles of training and how to progress through a whole season. And there's even a part where of like it's after the season ends to like you're encouraged to do other things. Like you need to step away from that sport. You need to take a break. You need to, and so like hockey players that go play soccer and like different things like that to not, but then also like I'm able to see now how much doing yoga doing body weight exercises in general, and doing sprints and stuff are going to help me with my powerlifting.
Yes.
It's the whole mixed training,
Totally.
the cross training. That's the word I'm looking for. That is so important with anything. It's and that's what I love so much about Cosmic too. Like, yeah, I make Base House and Tech House, but like having someone else's perspective, like a Dylan that's freaking he's made so many different genres, and he's, you know, an incredible drummer. I had him on the podcast. I can't wait for that one.
He showed an amazing song in feedback last night. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That was freaking, he just needs to turn the vocals up a little bit, and then you're good. He's done with that. But it's so important to have so many different perspectives with all this stuff. And
totally.
I'm someone who eats a shit ton of meat, like grass-fed beef, a shit ton of it. And my sister's a vegan. She's she's a vegan that's doing it right, and like has the right kind of supplements, but also has a very well-balanced diet, and is really healthy, and did a whole pregnancy with twins, all vegan. And is still like, and the babies are beautiful and healthy. And so like so I'm not right, and she's not right, but neither of us are wrong either. Like, so it's important to have these different perspectives. And the main thing with both of our diets is just eat real food.
Yes.
World, just eat real food, and I promise you'll feel better.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, we like switched over to like, we only buy organic and we eat a pretty healthy, balanced diet ourselves. Like, well, we don't eat that much meat, but when we do, it's like free range chicken, and we do fish a little bit too. We're mainly plant-based, but definitely trying to eat like whole organic foods as much as possible. And I love what you said about like, you're not right, we're not right. Like, it's an individual basis. And I think it takes a lot of trial and error to figure out what really works for you. But I think that like goes back to like the whole, like, we're talking about like coronavirus and like, is it a conspiracy? Is it not? It's like, we don't fucking know what's going on. And it, you know, our perspective of the world is like from our tiny little vantage point, and like, we have no idea what else is going on. And so I think that's why it's so important not to judge people. You know, you see people starting to like divide, like vegan, paleo, and it's just like, you know, different sides of the same coin. Like, let's respect one another's opinions and agree to disagree. That's okay. We fucking need that. We gotta disagree on things. We need to have different people in this world with differing values and perspectives, and that's really healthy, and that should be welcomed, not like resisted. So I think that, you know, if we can try to respect one another more, and I mean, it's not like everybody is, you know, being disrespectful or anything, but I think that,
and also respect what you eat. Like you say, you eat a lot of grass fed, so that you're respecting the animal a lot more than just like, you know, mass produced meat, right? Like, that's stressed out meat, right? So you don't eat that. So that's also respect too, right? So harder for a vegan to say that though, but I see it.
See, like if I've never even shot a gun in my life besides like a BB gun. But like, if I had it my way, I'd be going bow hunting every weekend to kill my own food. And I, first off, the last time I shot a, you know, bow and arrow was probably 5th grade archery. You know?
Get Joe Rogan on the show. He'll take you.
Yeah, but I swear there's something in me that I'm just like, I was born to shoot a bow and arrow. Like, I know I'm gonna be good at it. Like, I got it. So, you know, that's where my mind goes. Like, I swear, I'm a 5-star athlete. I play any sport. Let's freaking go. I'm gonna be good at this. Like, but it's really important. So like, here's me being someone who basically eats carnivore, but I like to say I just eat real food. I'm not, you know. And then my sister, who's vegan, we both want the same thing, right? Like, we don't want the animals to be harmed. Like, I want regenerative farming. That's a tough word. That's what I support, you know, actually, you know, giving the cows a good life. I used to love veal, but now I feel a certain way about it because it's a freaking baby cow. Like, but you know, but like that's just expensive anyway. So I just get, you know, New York strip is, you know, that's what I mainly get, and that stuff. Regenerative farming is has a zero net effect on the environment because they're, it's, you know, they're shitting and fertilizing and whatever, whereas the, you know, factory farming is terrible. Like I'm
so bad.
not, like, and we on the podcast that's coming out, you know, with my buddy Sean, he talks about like we vote with our dollar, not with the ballot. And the more we support, you know, whether it be fast food or just even stuff that's not grass fed, that's not wild caught, that's not free range, that's not organic, the more we do that, the more we support factory farming. And factory farming isn't just with cows, it's with all with all produce and all that stuff too, anything that's not organic. And that stuff is it's terrible. The way all the antibiotics and or the steroids and the what's it called, the, I can't think of the word, bug repellent for the fruits and stuff, you know, whatever the
preservatives and pesticides.
Pesticides. There we go. See, I know some things, but there's some things that, you know, I'm not a doctor and I'm not a scientist. That's for damn sure. But I got some experience. I've got some life experience, you know. But man, that's the stuff that, you know, that where someone who's vegan and someone who's carnivore, they actually agree on, but they'll butt heads about it because the outcome is I'm still eating meat versus I'm not. And like, here's a crazy concept: we can disagree on something and still like each other. Because there's a whole bunch of other things that we might have in common. Like that's what, you know, left and right political sides and all that stuff. It's so doesn't make any sense to me. Like I have a lot of friends that I disagree on, you know, as something as simple as the sports team. I grew up in New Jersey with all the New York and New Jersey teams, and I went to school a half hour south of Philly. These towns hate each other when it comes to the teams, but like I built some of my best friendships and longest lasting friendships from college with people that are all, you know, Flyers and Eagles and Phillies fans. You know, it's like you can disagree and still, you know, have a deep, you know, sincere bond with someone. And it's mind blowing to feel.
Great advice. So important.
Yeah. It's it may be hard for some people to step back from that because it like could challenge what their belief system is, and anytime our belief systems challenge, that's like a crush to the ego. So, but we should be challenging our belief systems like every day.
You gotta let people be themselves, and you gotta be you.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you're not
free yourself. Be yourself.
Free your mind.
I think like another interesting.
I'm starving now.
I know.
Right? Food for an hour. Weed. Food for an hour.
Another interesting way to think about food is about like how what you eat literally becomes you. Like it turns into you.
Turns into a human.
Who said that? Sadhguru.
Yeah.
He said that in like one of his talks once, and I was like, whoa. I never thought about it that way. So you're like, whatever you're choosing to like become together, like make sure you choose it wisely. It's literally going to become part of yourself. And then over the long term, when you think about things like aging or disease or things, you know, like Alzheimer's, like those things are an accumulation of shit in your body over years. And a big part of that is what you eat. And so whether that's like a collection of heavy metals in your body or inflammation in certain areas, like that is going to affect you in the long term. So making those, you know, good decisions is so important. And I mean, you don't want to take it like crazy. I mean, you can take it crazy, but I love ice cream, and you know, we love to have a good like pizza night and like
the vice.
So, you know, you got to have those things. But I think like if we try to make really good decisions for most of the time, then we're going to eliminate those things over the long term.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so my one friend who also used to have asthma, when he cleaned up his diet, he's still able to every now and then, have pizza, have ice cream. But it was just overall him getting healthier helped regenerate the little things in your intestines that grab all the nutrients and absorb it. He was able to rebuild his gut and bacteria and all that stuff with his diet. So he can, that's kind of like something I'm like holding on to, like for hope. Like I might still be able to have pizza eventually, just when I get this figured out. And like, cause look, I might be this like, someone who eats this crazy diet and is healthy and works out all the time. But like I've said this plenty of times, like my favorite like day of the, whenever I'm going out with my friends, it's not going out. It's like I'm getting Menino's buffalo chicken pizza. I'm getting Halo Pub ice cream, and we're going to my buddy's house and we're playing FIFA all night. Like that's my favorite night. Like
sounds like a dream right now.
Yeah.
Right. And like I'm someone who, I would work 40, 50 hours a week. I went to, I probably spent 10 hours a week in the gym and the rest of my time was like at home already. And then I would have like the one time every, so often where I'd go to, my buddy's house and we'd get that pizza or whatever and hang out. So like it took a while for it to kick in for me being on, lockdown or whatever, that like life was actually different. Right. Like this is what I was used to, was being in my room most of the time anyway. So it's, but having, setting the goals, just simple as something as simple as setting my to-do list for the day and just going through it and knocking the things off of it. Like there's a big, dopamine dump crossing shit, especially like something that you knew was going to be difficult and was going to be time consuming, crossing that thing off the list. You're like,
oh man, I did that today because we have these like noise complaints and our neighbors like I hope they don't watch this, but they actually do watch our Instagram. So,
we hit the 2 hour
but there's some complaint. Yeah, they're listening. Then congratulations to us.
They really care.
But there was just some complaints that were like totally invalid. Like we're in Bali, or like like. There was a noise complaint where it was like yelling in the middle of the night and like we were sleeping and we got woken up to the police and they pinned it on us and it was like $200 fine. So like I've just been totally like not wanting to deal with it. And today I was like, okay, I put it on my to-do list. It's been on my to-do list all week and I've just been like bumping it to the bottom and I'm like, I gotta do it today. So I finally like finalized the whole dispute and everything and sent it off. And like when I checked that off, that dopamine release was real today. I was like, whew, okay.
Killed it too.
Ready.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that like taking those few minutes to organize and like set a to-do list, like having some kind of structure for me anyways, and it sounds like for you too, Ryan, is like really important. And now Josh has started doing that too, like writing down like what are you going to do hourly. I think some of the most successful people, like some big like Fortune 500 people, will actually spend like the first 30 minutes of their day planning out the rest of their day in 30-minute increments. And that's like a little bit, that's pretty wild to do that, but it fucking works. Like,
hell yeah.
You have a path to where you want to go and you write it. You're way more likely to do it if you write it down.
You're not floating.
Just simple. I don't do like the minutes or anything, but I'll have like a prioritized list every day of stuff that I'm trying to get through. And if I don't have that, it's like, it's all up here and it's like floating around. And then that like breeds anxiety for me because I'm like, oh, what am I doing? And where?
You just get less shit, way less shit.
Yeah, you forget about things. And so
Cosmic is great at teaching that as well.
Yeah, the time audit. Did you do a time audit during Cosmic Academy where you had to write down every single thing you did throughout every hour throughout your day? Wow, was that ever sobering, eh? Because it really like teaches you where you're wasting time. And then nobody wants to write down like I just binge watched Netflix for 4 hours. So you're like way less likely to do those type of things. And then you realize what you were talking about earlier, like, wow, there are there's so many things that I'm not prioritizing and so many decisions that I'm making throughout the day that are conducive to me putting something off or telling myself I don't have time for it, when really it's like you waste a lot of time doing stuff that is really unnecessary. So
yeah,
I like that.
That's actually where all of this started, is with the guidance from Justin, talking about he even went as far as, talking about planning out, your daily goals, weekly goals, monthly. And then it was like, I wound up for a long period of time, I was doing daily, weekly, monthly, 3 months, 6 month, 9 month, 1 year, 3 to 5 year, 10 year. And I was writing them down every day. And then with, a gratitude list. But then I realized, like, I was taking like an hour and a half in the morning to do all of this. And then I'm like, I gotta plan out where I gotta wake up an hour early, and I'm like losing sleep. And I was like, you know what? I'm overloading right now. Let's just cut it to no more than 10 things. And I just do it. I don't break it down by half hour anymore. I just do, this is the first thing I'm gonna do, the second thing I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And I put it in order now. So like my last thing on the list was do the podcast with you guys. And then it's, I get to, so that's the other thing. Like I plan the day that I want, right? So it's like, I have the 10 things that I want to get done. And then I know my reward at the end of the night is I get to watch a little bit of Netflix.
Yes.
It's just like my little reward. And then, so my eating schedule is, you guys have a nice normal person's eating schedule with time sensitive eating and intermittent fasting. Mine, I either break it. I don't, the first time I can break my fast is 6 p.m. Because my sleep schedule is 2 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Wow.
But that all started too because my job, I would work till midnight, 12:30ish. So like I've just kept the same sleep schedule from when I was working, because it just works for me. And so I, my eating, but I always ate when I would come home from work. And so I was like, okay, I can go all day without eating, but if I don't eat right before I go to sleep, I don't feel like that. I don't feel that like warm, cuddly, I'm going to lay down and go to sleep. Like, so I'm just like, all right, I'll go all day without eating. And so 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. is my eating window. But every day I try and see how far I can get it to like 10, so I can make it.
You do it every day.
Yeah. All right. So
tell the truth.
I do it. No, I do it every day so that if I go to, say, like I had my brother-in-law's birthday on Sunday, like I do it every day so that day I don't have to feel bad at all.
Right.
Like, I like how I feel and how productive I feel when I do fast, instead of when I eat in the morning or whenever. I just feel like my brain fires. That also, the alpha GPC and all the nootropic supplements and stuff that I take, that definitely helps with the brain feeling like it's firing. But I just like it's like another thing that I feel accomplished in doing in the day. Like, I freaking made it in 16. Let's see how far I can push it. Can I push it to 20 hours? Like, it's like a competition with myself.
Yeah.
Like, that's just what
discipline.
Yeah, it feels good. You're doing it right.
Yeah.
If you start fainting, maybe you should bring it back a bit.
What?
If you start fainting, maybe you should, eat a bit sooner. But
right.
If you feel good, it's great.
Will you eat before you work out?
No. When I was training for the powerlifting competition stuff, I'm eating like 6 eggs, a half a pound of beef, a sweet potato, and 4 pieces of bread, and like that was my pre-workout meal. But ever since I stopped training so hard for that, got to dial it back and get back to the time sensitive eating. I'm just making I make sure that I have like at least a gallon of water in my fasting period, and
I drink so much water.
Speaking of that, I'm gonna run and take a piss real quick. I thought I could make it the whole 3 hours. Couldn't do it.
I'm just gonna make dinner real quick because we just talked about food for an hour. Sorry.
I'll be right back.
Okay. I'm gonna pee too. Before we started this, Josh was like, "There's no way I'm gonna make it 3 hours without peeing." He's like, what am I gonna do?
The Joe Rogan, I don't know how he does it.
They must have a little something under the table.
Right? And like he's literally, whether it be water or some kind of bulletproof coffee or some kind of something, he's always drinking something during his freaking podcast. I don't know how. All I had was a bottle and a half of water, and then I peed right before we started. Oh man, it was getting painful though. I was like 40 more minutes. I don't know. But that's the beauty of recording and editing. I might just shorten that little gap, but we keep this, whatever. But when I, had a second to take a break, and when Josh mentioned fainting, like obviously he was like making a joke, but I wanted to ask you guys, because you guys are yogis. I noticed that I love it. The best part about it is like that's like the font that we use for our freaking all of our shit. It's like that I don't know what font that is, but it's very similar to
so perfect.
So I noticed when I'm doing yoga and I go from the you're bent over, and then they do half raise and then go back down, and then that freaking standing up. I'm not good with the names of the poses, but that part I do that, and I take the breath as I'm coming up. I get really, really, really lightheaded, and like there's been a couple times where I like lose it a little bit, and I'm like, oh, and then I look back and they're like 5 moves ahead from what. So like, is that okay? Am I just getting a lot of oxygen to my brain? Do you guys have you ever experienced anything like?
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that before. For sure, I've experienced that before. I think that, I don't know, I mean, if you move slower, it probably won't happen, because I think it's like a blood rushing thing that's going on, an oxygen deprivation thing. But I mean, it probably, if I'm like exercising on like a really empty stomach, I'll get lightheaded too. So I don't know if that has something to do with it as well. But on most days, I don't feel lightheaded, but I've definitely had that experience too. Have you?
I don't think so. No.
It probably is.
Lightheaded. Maybe I'm just slow.
It probably is me coming up a little bit too fast.
Yeah.
Because that's the same feeling, like when you get up too fast and like, oh, you're lightheaded, but
Are you breathing?
Yeah. Like I'm very much only nose breathing, and unless I'm breathing out, I breathe out through my mouth sometimes. But there was like a couple times where it was like intense, like a whole nother high. I was like really like disoriented from it. And I like, at first I thought it was the new mat that I got, because I have a yoga mat, but I wanted a red one, my whole branding and the colors. I gotta get a red one for my videos, So I got
wrong with that.
And I got one that was like it's a lot thicker than the other yoga mats that I had, but I typed in yoga mat and I bought this, and then saw it was like actually something you put down under a like sleeping mat or a sleeping bag for camping, and like so that's why it's so thick and cushiony. But I like it because it's so cushiony that when you're doing the single leg poses and stuff, it's even more unbalanced. So I'm like, good, this is working the stabilizing muscles more. I'm just like, forget it. But it smells toxic.
Like, I know the smell.
Like the smell of
plastic.
I feel like I smell it and I'm like, I'm not supposed to be breathing this in. That's
like when you open a Nintendo for the first time, like out of the box. fuck is that smell? I know that smell. That toxic plastic smell,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, maybe it's because I'm going from the bent over position and like breathing it in and standing up. Maybe that's what's making me lightheaded, breathing in. So
switch that mat.
Did you get a new mat?
So I still have that one, but I tested my theory by using my old yoga mat.
Yeah.
I came up and was like, oh, nope, it's not the yoga mat breathing in.
You're not poisoning yourself.
Is it? Are
That's
you
good.
like? Well, okay. First of all, you should probably get a new yoga mat. If as someone who's like, you know, eliminating things from your diet, you know that shit ain't good for you.
Yeah.
So if it's something you're doing on a regular basis, you should probably get a new one. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, is it every time that you do that move, or is it like just in the beginning of your practice? Because maybe it's, you know, because if you're like sitting for a long time, your blood's pooling, and then if you go to like get up, that's usually when you get that lightheadedness. So it might be at the beginning of your practice, if it is at the beginning of your practice, because you're not like warmed up enough. Or is it at the end? Is that what you're gonna say? Yeah, or because you're tired and you don't have enough fuel. I don't know. It could be because of your diet. I don't know.
I was hoping it was like another level of transcendental yoga meditation.
It's actually that. That's it.
I was hoping you guys can be like, oh my God, you just started doing more yoga and you got to that level already. Like,
that's the goal.
Maybe I'm an expert already. That's the answer I was hoping for, but knew it wasn't going to be the answer. Yeah, the yoga mat, it's been 2 weeks and I've just, it hasn't made it to my to-do list to get a new yoga mat yet. And
I got to get a new one too. We're sponsored by Jack Daniels. And they give us actually, I don't know if we are sponsored anymore. I think our rep quit her job.
Bottle's almost empty.
We have like a massive, huge like Texas Mickey of it. But they always were giving us like random swag, and they gave us a yoga mat. So I was like, sweet. So I've been using it, but it's like every time I like kick my leg out, like a chunk of the foam like goes onto the carpet. So it's funny literally this morning I was like, I need to get a new yoga mat. I do yoga every single day. Like, why do I have this like shitty mat? Sorry, Jack Daniels, love you, but like you should stick to making alcohol. Stick to the whiskey because the mat is kind of shitty. But I'm gonna get a new mat, and I think you should too.
That's single barrel, gentlemen's.
The gentleman's Jack.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, been a long time since I had me some. That was my drink of choice for sure.
So are you sober now? Yeah, good for you.
5.5 years. 5.5 years. It's been. I went down
I'm also sober at this moment.
What'd you say?
I said congratulations, and I said I'm also sober at this moment.
Yeah. At first I didn't want this to be, I didn't want it to, for a long time I stayed anonymous to my, social media and whatnot. But anybody that knew me knew I was in recovery. But I had someone on the podcast who I didn't know was clean and sober. And so when he opened up about his story, it kind of, opened the door. I was like, fuck it. Like, what am I scared of? Like, there's the two underlying, like the exact nature, right? The two underlying things were, one, I didn't want my brand to become, oh my gosh, he's the clean and sober DJ. Like, I didn't want that to be a part of my brand. And then the other fear, like the actual fear of it was, what if I relapse? Now, when someone's in recovery and relapses, they're a scumbag. Like, this is what my head tells me. Even though, like, being in Narcotics Anonymous, when someone relapses and comes back, we love them and hug them and are happy they're back and they're alive that they're back, right? Like, we don't hate them, you know what I mean? It's never like that.
Yeah.
But my brain, I have that disease, addict brain that tells me, all the negative stuff that will happen and none of the positive stuff. And so I didn't want there to be a stigma, because, like, look, I'm an addict, and yes, there's just because I've been clean for 5.5 years does not mean that I don't ever think about smoking weed. Like I paint the pretty picture of like at the end of the night I'm gonna smoke a joint and I'm gonna have like a little glass of whiskey with with the ice cube in it, and then that's gonna be it, right? And like that might be it for like a little bit of time, but like it could lead down that road that I'm too scared to risk the one joint for the life. All the stuff that I've done, all of this is only possible because I got clean and I started actually giving a shit about my life. And
now you got pizza, ice cream, and FIFA.
Yeah, right. Like
turn to that.
And the most beautiful experience of my life was when I had 10 months clean, and because I didn't think that I was ever going to be able to do this, like do music, like clean. But my favorite experience that I've ever had is going to a music festival with 10 months clean. And I went through the whole day, seeing everybody doing everything. I was with people that, supported me and wanted me to stay clean, but like they don't have to, right? They were doing the things that I used to do. And, but I had this moment watching Pretty Lights and me being just like so overcome with like emotion and like I started crying because I was like, I can do this. Like I can be in this environment and not do drugs. And I actually have had like the best experience of the day. And I remember the whole day, and I can tell you everybody set who I saw and these awesome moments at each. And I was just like
overcome. You don't feel like shit the next day.
Yeah. And I woke up like yelling at everybody, come on, it's day 2 of the fest. Like, let's get in. Like, it's 2 o'clock, guys. We need to get back into the festival. Like, it's like, Kai, he's the special guest. Like, come. And everyone's like, shut up, Brian. And it was like, any of this is possible. And like, forget about the stuff that I've been able to open for some of my biggest inspirations in music. Like, don't get me wrong. I hold that, like, I'm so grateful for those experiences with Dioro, Layback Luke, and Bingo Players. Like, they're 3 of my top 5 in my life, and I've got to meet and open for all of them. And
that's awesome.
So like, I'm really blessed and grateful that that's happened. But like to be honest, like the things that I'm most grateful for is like being able to spend time with my 2-year-old niece, like being a positive role model for my nephews, and the fact that like I've built these beautiful relationships in my life since I've been clean, and most importantly, like with my family. Like there was so much damage that I did that I've been blessed enough to have the opportunity to make the amends and the living amends to them. And, anytime that I have a thought of, going back to, just smoking weed, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like weed, is a beautiful, beautiful thing that helps so many people. And like, I use CBD. There's no, I get all the benefits that I wanted, except now I'm not extra super paranoid like I was the last, 3 years of me smoking weed anyway, because of all this shit that was going on. And, it's so selfish of me to think like the most selfish thing I can do now is use drugs again. And I know that because none of this is possible. And the biggest thing that I've gained is the awareness and the mindfulness and the relationship with, my own version of my higher power. I'm not religious at all, but I'm very one with the universe. I'm very, very, very conscious of what is there's no coincidences in my life. Like, everything happens exactly the way it's supposed to happen. And everything that happens to me is the best thing that can happen to me. And I have to believe those things, whether or not that's true. Right? Because the only evidence that I have in my life is what I've been through. And my family means so much to me, and I know that I would disappoint them so much if I went back to that life. And
that's good. That keeps you stronger too.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking of it like that.
And with all the research and stuff that I've done with any of this, like there's this guy that was actually on the Joe Rogan podcast. I forget his name, but I saw his TED talk first about addiction. And then he wrote a book on it. He's wrote a couple books on it. And he talks about how the opposite of of addiction is not abstinence, it's connection. And the connection and the love that I've been able to build with my family, with the other members of Narcotics Anonymous that I'm close with, and my friends and the people, like of Cosmic Academy and of Aftershock, productions. These connections and these bonds have only been, possible because of me getting clean, but also are a big part of why I am staying clean, right? Like, because I know I'm a different person clean than I am using. I'm not the person that can just one joint, one drink, and not even like the person that goes out to dinner and gets a glass of wine and doesn't finish the glass of wine when they're leaving. Like, that's mind blowing to me. Like, I don't get that. The moderation in anything doesn't make right. Like, I started doing yoga. Now I do it every day. Right. There's not, I started this podcast, and I've done, I think 15 already in like 2 weeks of doing this. Cause like, I love these conversations and I want to come out with, I want to get to episode 1500, like friggin' Joe, you know what I mean? Like, but I want to do it right now. I want the instant gratification, and then trying to, distance myself from that, and realizing that time, things I must earn, one of my favorite acronyms. And when I can get a hold of that and really, take a step back, and music is fucking hard. It takes fucking time to get to the, whatever, picture of, level I have in my head.
And then you always create a new picture and you never get there.
It's like,
that's all the fun though.
I think that, well, first of all, like, big ups to you for that. That's amazing. Everything you're saying is so beautiful. And that, like, being at Pretty Lights and having that moment, like, I was getting shivers when you were talking about that. That's so powerful. And what a great influence that you can be for other people, like your nieces and nephews and everybody. And especially in the industry where, is very much akin to partying and drug use and whatnot. And not that, again, we can shame people to do that, but we can show people that this is very possible, and look at how much fruition has come out of it for you. So big ups to you. That's amazing. I forgot what the second part of what I was going to say was.
That was nice though. That was pretty.
But yeah, wow, that's amazing. What a beautiful journey. Oh yeah, I remembered. It was about the journey. I think that it's just so important to realize that life is the journey. Like, it's all about the process of growing and learning, the process of getting better at whatever it is, whether it's like bodybuilding or, yoga or music producing. It's like, we get so caught up in this like future perfect self that doesn't exist. Cause like you said, it's like, as soon as you get there, it's like, okay, next. You're always like looking forward, next. And then we forget to like look back and be appreciative of the journey, the path that's led us to where we're at, and how far we've come, everything that's brought us to this moment, everything that we have in this moment. Because I think that we're so used to this, like, I call it a poverty mindset, where we think about all the things we don't have and compare ourselves to others endlessly, which makes no sense, because no one has the unique set of gifts and talents that either any of us have to offer this world. But we get caught up in this poverty mindset. And I think the best way to mitigate that is through gratitude and recognizing, like, holy shit, we do have so much to be grateful for. And for where we're at, like you said, you're exactly where you're meant to be right now. So enjoy it, because it's going to be different tomorrow. It's going to be different the next day and the next day and the next day. So really, like, being joyful in every step of the way and appreciating every step of the journey. Because if you're just chasing some like recognition, reward, outcome, accolade, whatever it is, like, you're never going to fucking get there, because it's never going to be good enough. So I think it's so important to be joyful in the moment. It goes back to presence again, right? Being present and appreciating what we have.
And so Duncan Trussell, this beautiful man, he I forget if it was on his podcast or where I heard him say it, but he talks about the struggle to try and remain present, because when you are present, you don't know that you're being present. You're just present in the moment. And as soon as you realize that you're being present, you're now not being present in the moment. You're now being outside of it. And I like, it was so funny to hear him say that, because like it makes like it just like clicked the, you know, turn the right wheels in my head to realize that's true. That's the truth. And so like there'll be a lot of times where I'm just like hanging out, like watching my niece or whatever, and realized like that I you know, I hadn't looked at the phone for a while, and then I'm like, no, go back to that you know, go back to being present now, because now I'm up here. I'm not present in the moment. And this whole the gratitude list that I've been writing, I've noticed it's been raining a lot here in New Jersey during this quarantine, and now like there's going to be like apparently 40 degrees, and it might be snowing in North Jersey this weekend. And like when the weather has been so crazy, but just being outside today and like just like being like so grateful that the sun was out, and that I was able to just be outside and soak in the natural vitamin D, and I had like I had always said, like, we, you know, the quote of, you know, it has to rain so that we'll be grateful for the sunny days. But like in that moment today, when I was outside grilling my burgers, like it finally like sunk in, like, wow, like I really am so grateful that it's sunny out. Because like I got two big ass windows in my room, and like when it's sunny out and the natural sunlight coming in, it's so much better. It's
the best.
Like it really does make me smile. Like it's not like it's not I'm smiling because I'm seeing the sunlight. Like it just brings it, you know, a whole other level. And you know, now it's 9:45 here, and it's all dark, and I'm seeing the beautiful natural sunlight like you guys got going through there.
Yeah, it was really beautiful this morning. We've been like trying to get up extra early, so we've been getting up at 6:30 in the morning to go to the studio in the morning to like get some hours in. And the last couple of days are just so nice. Today I remember waking up and I was like, oh my gosh, the sun was coming through, and it was like casting all these shadows on our wall. And it's that feeling of waking up to the sunlight is like, when it's like that early too, there's like this crisp feeling of like this, like a new day, like this new light, this new opportunity. It's like this really, I don't know. Pure. Yeah, it's a really pure feeling when everything around you is like quiet and still, but that sun, woo, that's a vibe. I got to go to bed now. So
it's a vibe.
Chase that.
Yeah, now it's our bedtime.
So since I live on the East Coast and you live on the West, is Vancouver like on the West Coast, or is it just like
Yeah, we're right on the ocean.
So you guys get the beautiful sunsets.
Yeah.
Over here we get the like over the water. I mean, the sun rises over here and on the beach. And so on Saturday I went to the beach, and like I wanted so badly to get there for sunrise, but the anticipation of this, you know, it was going to be so beautiful and so nice out. I wound up being up till like 3 a.m. So there was no, you know, like I didn't get to sleep, and you know, I was disappointed that I wasn't gonna, you know, see the sunrise. But and like I set the alarm for an hour and a half after I went to sleep. I was like, I'm gonna, you know, wake up at 4:30. I'm gonna get out there, and then I was like, you know what? My body will thank me if I can sleep, and then I'll make sure that I'm just out there to experience the sunset on the beach. Even if it's behind me over the houses, it's still beautiful, and I got to experience that. But there's so much, you know, I can get caught up in like the beating myself up about certain things when everything, like I have to remember, like my whole belief system is built on that everything happens exactly the way it's supposed to happen, and everything that happens to me is the best thing that can happen to me. And so and like you said, like you're right where you're supposed to be, like so I was meant that day to be there for the sunset. And what was even more beautiful about it was that there was only like 4 people on the whole beach. So then it just felt like it was just me and the ocean and the like the vastness of the, like, it finally, like I always knew, like, yes, the ocean's huge and it's way more powerful than me, but to sit there like almost like alone and hear the waves and to really like experience, like, wow, like at any moment, like that thing is so much more. I'm so small.
Yeah.
You know, and like it was like this moment of just like
humbling experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, so what, the sunset behind me over the houses, those houses are gigantic and beautiful and huge, and it was still beautiful looking at that. But I'm pretty sure like the sunrise on the beach, like it's really hard to find parking down at the beach. And I'm pretty sure there would have been a lot more people, you know, because they know the sun rises right over the ocean and it's beautiful. And Belmar is one of the, you know, the nicest beaches in Jersey. So in my head, I'm at least painting the picture, like, instead of being with all these people, I got to have like my own moment with like my higher power, the universe and earth and
totally
everything. Find the positives.
Totally. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I want to come there and check that out. What's the music scene like where you're at?
I love where I live because my town is the exact center point, an hour from New York City, an hour from Philly, or an hour and a half from Atlantic City, and 45 minutes from the beach. So, and then we got Princeton, New Jersey, which is like one of the most oldest and historic towns in America, with Princeton University and that whole town. So I love where I live. Now, right where I live, and you know, to get the house music and stuff, you gotta go to New York City, you gotta go to Philly, you gotta go to Atlantic City, and or the beach even. And the beach is probably, but then it's only during the summer, you know, for the house music scene. But there's a couple really nice clubs out there. And you know, New York City is New York City. It's, you know, prayers for everything that's going on right now in New York. I got a lot of friends and family up that way, and it's crazy. Like, who knows? I have to think positive, right? We have to. It's gonna be okay, and you know, they're gonna find the vaccine. We're all gonna be fine. It's just it's a flu. It happens. You know, it's a virus. We are all scared of a big giant invisible monster right now, and it's crazy to think. It's crazy to think of that, but you know,
wow,
positivity always wins.
Totally.
Positivity always wins. So,
amen.
Hell yeah. Well, you got to come to Canada and come to Vancouver so we can show you around. We have a really amazing festival scene. Like, our festival scene in the summertime is top notch. Like, we have Shambhala, Base Coast, and like tons of other like smaller festivals that are really fucking cool. So summertime here is like aces. Our night life is okay. I mean, we don't have any like we don't have any super clubs. We don't have any like massive clubs. Like Commodore holds how many people?
1,000.
1,000, yeah. So like it's not that big. And Vancouver is actually quite small. Like, it's a little peninsula. So it's, you know, oftentimes hard for like promoters to hold down like cool, like underground house music vibe kind of nights. But yeah, I wouldn't say that our nightlife is like fantastic by any stretch of the mean, but it's got a lot of really cool people and a lot of really talented musicians as well.
That matters. All about the people.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
What about?
And it's like a super active city too. Like, a lot of people exercising, running on the seawall, and we've got like the ocean, the mountains. So there's lots of like skiing and snowboarding, and lots of sports going on. You would enjoy it. It's really fun.
I'm a big snowboarder.
Oh, are you? Nice.
Yeah. I'm not like, you know, I go down the mountain as fast as I can. That's where the talent is, right? I don't do crazy flips or anything. But what's the weather by you? Is it like how long is your winter? Is it like freezing terrible? Like what I
It's like 9 months.
It's not that bad. No, it's like
5 months.
The coldest it gets in the dead of winter, it could get to like -10 degrees Celsius. So what's that in Fahrenheit?
I have no idea.
I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. But
I like Mexico weather, so it feels like 8 months of winter to me.
Celsius to Fahrenheit.
I think it's like
degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, wait. -10 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. Oh, 14 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, that's not that bad. Yeah, that's not terrible.
Yeah.
It gets to that in Jersey. It
What are you
gets
talking about?
0.
It's pretty cold, but that's like in Vancouver where we are. But it's like a pretty long winter. It rains a lot, tons and tons of rain, which is also beautiful because it is so lush here. So it's very green, lots of forest space, lots of parks.
It's beautiful, for sure.
Really, really beautiful.
And it's only 2 hours to LA, so
True.
LA's warm.
True. But yeah, our summertime, like we gets to like 25, 30 degrees Celsius in like a hot day in the summertime, which is what, like 90, I think, yeah. 90, somewhere around 90. So it's like, it's not that, I mean, it's pretty average temperature.
We get like 2 months of that. 2 months.
Yeah.
If we're lucky, nice weather.
So it seems like your weather is the same as Jersey. Like, to be honest.
I mean, we have the best part of Canada for sure when it comes to coldness. Like,
yeah.
The rest of it gets real winter. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Edmonton had the coldest, like
-70 or something.
Yeah, it was insane. They had like, I think it was like one of the coldest places on earth that day or something.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Yeah, I did.
We love playing there.
I did sports psychology for the Canada Winter Games, which is like basically, it's like the highest level multi-sport event. It's like a lot of kids who will be like competing in the Olympics later on. And it was in Red Deer, Alberta, and it was like -45 every day. It was insane. I'm like, how do people live here? Like, it was crazy. Like, you have to have like a heater for your car, like for the block in your car, or else it will like
if you go to the mall, you got to plug your car
You have to plug your car in because it will freeze and just won't work.
I didn't leave the hotel.
Like you can barely go outside. Like it's just like insanity. But yeah, some parts of Canada are very cold, but we're on the coast here, so much milder temperatures. Summers are awesome here. Really awesome summers. Yeah. And this spring has actually been beautiful. It's been so sunny, and in Vancouver, like anytime there's like a glimmer of sun, every patio is just like popping. But since the lockdown, it's like a bunch of our like community, we've been talking to the bars and stuff because they're kind of open for like off sales and whatnot, and they're just like sitting there looking at the sun like, oh my gosh, we would have had like a crazy patio spring because it's been so nice. Can you hear the sirens?
Yeah. very, very similar to sirens in New Jersey. You know, it's not too different. You know, it's not a different tone.
They're open soon. I think they're opening next couple weeks.
Yeah, restaurants are opening in a couple weeks here.
Patios first, I think, or for sure patios. Something I heard about that.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I don't know what New Jersey's doing. The schools are done for the year.
Our schools are coming back too. Actually, it's like it's not mandatory, but if you want, you can. So
I read that the schools were because it's like there's only like a month left of school, anyways.
Yeah,
a couple of months, but
I don't know. That's what they.
Can you imagine if it was your like senior year, you're graduating high school,
that's the worst,
and you know your prom and your grad and like everything, like oh man, I think a lot of them will be postponed, but like
still,
like for me, that would have been devastating as someone who was playing basketball and soccer and like trying to get scholarships. Like that was like a prime time. Like imagine if that was taken away from you. I'm sure like everything's been taken into consideration, but like you don't get that back. Like you can't go back and have those experiences, you know. That's sad.
I miss my prom.
I went to 2 proms. I went to one high school for 3 years and then to my public school for the last year. So I still got to go to that prom over at the other with a chick over there. That, man, like that, because there's a kid across the street that has, the Heightstown High School 2020 thing out there, and I'm like, damn, like, it didn't hit me, like, right, because what I can only control what's right in front of me, but like seeing that and being like, oh shit, yeah, it's been done since the end of March, so like none of the proms, none of the being able to just walk and graduate, like back then I was like, oh, I don't want to go to graduation, like it's gonna be so boring. But now, like, being 29, almost freaking 30, and seeing the other side of it, being like, wow, it really is such a beautiful accomplishment. And like even my college graduation, I was like, didn't even want to, I didn't even want to, do it. And but now I'm like, I wish I took more pictures with my cap and gown on around all of the university and stuff. I got the pictures that I needed, but man, that's stuff's wild. I just there's a lot of like small businesses and stuff that I really, really like around here, and I'm just praying for them,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's like a really important time to like support local too. Shop local, like you said, you vote with your dollars, so really supporting those local grocery stores and farmers, and trying to avoid places like Walmart and Costco and shit like that. Sometimes you gotta go, but
yeah, the capitalism with Walmart and all the stuff that that's a whole, we already,
that's a whole other podcast.
We just hit the 3-hour mark, and there's even more that that I'm finding out that we think very similar on.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been an awesome podcast with you guys.
Thanks for having us.
I'm so grateful for you guys. This has been beautiful. Thank you for all your knowledge with yoga and everything. It's been great to get to know you guys, though, for real. I'm super excited for your upcoming releases. Everybody, you want to tell our audience all the social media links and stuff, and I'll make sure I put it in there. But
sweet. Yeah, it's just most of our links are just Average Gypsy. So Instagram is at Average Gypsy, Facebook,
our website,
Average Gypsy, website averagypsy.com. Twitter is the Average Gypsy 1.
Yeah,
something like that. I don't even know what it is.
Google lays it all out.
But yeah, Average Gypsy, just type that in, whatever platform you're at, and it should pop up. But thank you so much for having us. That was really fun.
It's fun, man.
So cool
Nice
to connect
meet
with you. And yeah, it's I love hearing your perspectives, and I think they're very aligned with a lot of the way that we live our lives as well, which is really cool to see. So when all of this is over, we should plan some real visits in real life, maybe do some shows together or something. Definitely get you to come out to our festival.
And you gotta get one of these shirts for your next. I gotta stand up every time just so you can actually see what the fuck I'm wearing.
A girl, she's called Profanity.
Yeah.
I'll send you the link. She's in Vancouver. She's a really dope
Vancouver
designer.
girl.
She made
hell yeah.
She makes some crazy rave shit.
She makes crazy rave
This
shit.
is like, you see her Instagram, you're like, wow.
Yeah, I'll send it
That's
to you.
right up my alley with my sense of humor. So I love it. So yeah, definitely shoot me those links. And again, thank you guys so much. This has been a pleasure getting to know you. Again, looking forward to your releases and seeing you guys grow.
Likewise.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
everybody. Peace.
Peace.
Unity. Respect. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Be safe.
Hello. Oh my gosh.
April?
I just remembered.
April!
Can't hear you yet. This is awesome, though.
Okay.
Am I?
Not my background.
Oh shit! My sound was on mute. That's why I couldn't hear you. You're good.
Can you hear us now?
Okay.
My shit was muted.
Can you see my mom?
I just realized that I had a Zoom chat last night with we have this group called the Cougars and the Kittens, and all these ladies behind us. Those are the cougars. And they're all of our moms, and all of us grew up, like they all had daughters around the same time. So we all grew up together, and the kittens had a Zoom chat last night, and we all changed our background to our moms. So
that is freaking awesome.
In lieu of Mother's Day, you can interview the moms instead.
Yeah, right? We're totally, I don't care what we say after this. This is definitely going to the podcast with that.
Okay, there we go. Oh, man.
Awesome.
That
April, you're famous.
Really funny. I totally forgot about that.